going on, everybody? How is everybody doing? Let's get the show on the road. Guys, let me know, as usual, if you can hear me, if you can see me. Music's playing. Camera working. Camera working. Everybody here? Yep. Check, check. We're all here. Let's see what we got. Papa was first. Papa's here, everybody. Martin, what's going on? We got that guy Makes, Eric, Nigel, Chili Wills. Favorite 3D person? This guy? This guy, right? Burn Carve Print, Da Vinci. Nice, awesome, awesome. Hands up, anyone not here? We got a few that are missing. We definitely got a few that are missing. I'm not expecting this to be a super popular stream because it's a little bit outside of what my channel typically does, which is 3D printers and 3D print tech. This one's a little bit different. We're doing a little 3D print related project, something I've been working on for quite some time now. Morning, Mark. How you doing? And that is, we're going to be building one of these. This is called a GameBoy Macro, and it has a really dirty screen. And what I've been working on is this case that this GameBoy Macro is. Some of you guys haven't ever heard of a GameBoy Macro. Maybe you guys are already pros and you know exactly what this is and you're just wondering about the case. Hopefully in this stream we'll answer a bunch of things and also build one. So this GameBoy Macro originally comes from a DS Lite, a Nintendo DS Lite. These are pretty old. There was many of these made. They're extremely common, and I have a box of them here that are damaged in some way. For example, this one has a broken hinge, which means very soon the top screen will start to go out. In fact, I think this one in particular does already blink, which means the ribbon cable is breaking. But there's so many of these around that have broken screens or broken hinges, and they're just literally gonna be thrown out. So what I did was I picked a bunch out, or bought a bunch rather, that are in that state. And I developed this case. Now, there's a bunch of other 3D printed cases to build a macro, which I have tried. I've tried a ton of them. And there's been things that I just didn't like about them in one way or another. So I decided to tackle it myself and learn Fusion 360 and make my own and make it all 3D printable and as cheap as possible. So yes, you do lose a screen, you do lose some buttons, but what you gain is an extremely pocketable, essentially Game Boy Advance, which is my personal favorite Game Boy. I have a fairly large Game Boy collection now, but the Game Boy Advance is definitely one of my favorite systems. I think the games that come for the system are just an awesome balance between retro, but still something you can pick up and play with a little bit of complexity, and the graphics are still amazing. And the thing is, these Game Boy Advances are really expensive. They just are. And like this one, for example, that you add a bunch of bells and whistles, like a backlit color screen, lights, new buttons, cases, things like that, they actually go really expensive. They're in the several hundreds of dollars if you buy, you know, all the premium stuff. And it starts to cost a lot of money. Whereas a project like this, you could probably get one of these things for around 20 bucks, sometimes less, sometimes a bit more, especially if they're broken. Some people just give them away because they don't really want to use them anymore. And if you have a 3D printer and a couple dollars worth of components, which I'll link and talk about as we build them, you can make yourself a Game Boy Advance that has a built-in color screen, that has sound, obviously, with 2 speakers that are using the stock system. And yet it still has fun things like, for example, space for an R4 card, which some of you might know, gives you the ability to play a whole bunch of ROMs. Or you can go the premium method and get one of these Easy Flash carts so that you can upload your entire library. Or in this case right over here, you could play your favorite carts that you might already have for the Game Boy Advance, which are also very inexpensive nowadays. Some of them are not, and these are not the official real games here that I'll be building these with, because these, the Pokemon series, have become extremely expensive and extremely rare. But you can buy them as kind of like a remanufactured game set very inexpensively. So these are just here for testing. But essentially, that's what we're doing. I want to take a DS out of the box, make this kind of an interactive stream where you guys do this with me. You guys are going to help me pick out a DS out of the bunch. You guys are going to help me pick out a case, all the color combinations. We're going to go ahead and build one. And yeah, maybe we'll see what happens with that particular one at the end for those that kind of stuck around. Speaking of those that are going to stick around, there is a pinned comment at the top of the chat right here. As always, I give away a spool of Filament. So if you guys are in the United States and you're going to stick around to the end of the stream, check out that link. It'll take you to a gleam.io link, which will look like this right over here. And this is where you can enter to win a spool of PLA Plus from 3D Max. Looks like 2 people are already ahead of the game and know exactly what to do. So that's nice. We'll give that away at the end. So if you're in the United States, answer the question, jump in here, and you have a chance to win a spool of PLA Plus from 3D Max. All right, that's one thing, the main thing. And then there's also this. This is my shop. You can come here by going to shop.3dprintsos.com or store.3dprintsos.com. I make a bunch of cool shirts. There's one behind me over here that my doppelganger is wearing right over here. All this is designed by me. I make the prices as cheap as humanly possible. There's also hoodies and also mats. You can see one right over here that I use every day. Awesome mats, neoprene, kind of like a giant mouse pad. Perfect for doing projects like this or having your keyboard or mouse on. Different color combinations of that right over here, as well as awesome mugs like this. So if you like what I'm doing and want to support, well, you know, this is one way to do it outside of doing, you know, the obvious stuff that you can do on YouTube Live and YouTube and Patreon, all that stuff. You guys know all that. Yeah, so let's just jump right in and get on that, and we'll maybe I'll try to do some polls so you guys can help me, or we'll just use the chat. It doesn't really matter to me which one we do in that sense, but yeah, let me catch up with the chat, have a couple sips of coffee before we get started here. Hey, K Shaper, how you doing? That guy makes. Oh, bad Wi-Fi, huh? Link to 3D model. So I don't have the link yet because I'm still developing it, and there are a couple things that I want to address, and I'm still kind of figuring out how I'm going to do it. The files are ready, so if this particular build goes well and there's no kinks on what I'm doing or the build that I'm going to make today, then I'm going to publish them along with all the hardware that you need, the links to everything. It'll all be posted on printables. I'm not sure I'm going to post on Thingiverse anymore, but probably on the printables and Maker World, and I'll definitely link it down in the description. But for now, it is just I don't have the files up just yet. I have everything as a draft, but it is not ready just because there's one thing with the select and start buttons that I'm not necessarily 100% happy with, but it's obviously it works. I have what 5, 6, 7, 8 of these things built, so we'll see how that goes. Nutty 3D, hi Feder, would love to see more Infomech TX. Really a gem of the rough in my opinion. It's $330 with shipping right now in the EU, and I would assume in the US too. Yeah, no, it's a great machine. I still have it. It's right off the screen right there. I actually just got a box in the mail 2 days ago with the fan, the camera. There's a couple other components in there, so all their accessories are finally available after all this time. I haven't gotten my hands on it until just now. So that's what I'm really interested in, because those little things are what make it equivalent to machines that are like behind me. Not necessarily the Bamboo Lab, for example, because the Bamboo Lab has the AMS compatibility, but if you took the AMS off, it would totally compete with it. It is a very decent machine. But more importantly, like the Creality K1 machine and the K1C, it would directly compete if it had the auxiliary fan, etc., etc., etc. So I don't know if I'll do a live stream or how I'll tackle that, maybe in a video, but I did just get that. See more on that machine. Is the King Rune still available? Yes, the King Rune is still available. Why can't I see my... Oh, I can. There it goes. They were just late. Yes, the King Rune is still available. For those wondering, I do sell several machines on my Discord at a heavy discount of 50%. So if you guys are interested in a machine, go ahead and check out the classified section of our Discord. I do post machines there sometimes when they're ready to move out of the space here once I fill up. Hey Nuno, how you doing? No, I ran out and I want to get the Dark Rye, Basil Hayden Dark Rye. I have some in my office. It is so good. It's incredible. I think it's my favorite bourbon at the moment. It's delicious. Basil Hayden. Darkrai. Gotta get some. I just didn't make it on the way from work. I'm setting up some new selling platforms. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, and that's another thing. So one of the things that I would like to do is at some point, I know not everyone's going to want to build one of these things. I know, so I'm gonna have some of these for sale probably through my own shop, where they'll be completed with their spec list because they are different here and there. So right now I'm printing them and building them for fun and also testing, but I think I'm going to eventually sell some of these things, so just keep an eye out for that. I'll probably make some announcement on my YouTube channel. So Schaefer, I have a whole thread in the classified, so if you just want to jump into the Discord while we're over here chatting, you can look at it there. Fully agree. Infomeg's actually working on an MMU release date on the right. Yeah, I did hear that. But we have a Discord around the TX, and some people are working on open source MMU's compatibility. Nice. I mean, it does run Clipper. I'm pretty sure you could run pretty much anything that's compatible with Clipper on the Infomeg TX. But yeah, I definitely do like the machine, and I would like to do more content around it. But I've been kind of busy with this project because I think this hits everything for me. This is working on electronics. This is repurposing old electronics that are destined for the trash. This is 3D printing in unique different ways. This is everything that I love to do together. So I've kind of been focusing on it a lot more, even though it doesn't really pop from my channel, if that makes sense. But I'm okay with that. All right, but for those that are you that are in here and are planning on sticking around, what do you guys say we get busy and build one? I have a feeling some of you guys would be interested in that. But I do need some help. We do need to pick some out. So here is my box that I have of the Japanese DS Lites. These came obviously from Japan, and I do have them labeled in various ways here. The ones that are bundled with tape, those rely on each other. So to give you an example, this is bundle number 1. This one is working, has a broken hinge and a perfect top screen. So broken hinge means if you open this too much, the top screen will break. And right now, as you can see, it doesn't blink, which means this top screen will be usable for my case. And that's one of the other strengths of my particular design, is that you can use the top or bottom screen with it. You do have to modify the top screen a bit, but you can use it. So this right here is a perfect example of a broken one that not everyone's going to want to use, but this one can help with this one. This one's working, but has really, really yellowing screens. As you can see, you might not be able to see because of the camera, but they're super yellow. Like, they're literally yellow screens. So this one is all working, but needs a screen, and this one has 2 screens. So if you take this one apart, with this one you can build 2. So that's how all these are categorized. But some of these, especially all these, are just, they're perfect candidates by themselves. For example, this one is working, but has a broken hinge, as you guys saw. This one is working, but has yellowing screens, and it's saying use another screen. Actually, I had to use that screen for a different build. This one's working, broken top screen and yellowing screens. Let's see how yellow they are. I have a feeling some of these aren't that bad. So this one, for example, is totally usable, and this has a broken top screen. So this hinge works, but it would need a screen replacement. But since the bottom's good, this is yet again a perfect candidate. So there you go. We have 2 right here that we can use. Let's pick a different color. Working. This says lower screen. Let's see what that means. Oh yeah, so lower screen. Does it work? Okay, it does. This one is just yellow, and we have another candidate here with a lower screen. Let's see what else. Working. Use top screen. So this would be a perfect candidate to show off how the top screen works. Oh yeah, so this is yellowing, but very little, but this is extremely yellow. I would not use this bottom screen. The other reason why you can use the top screen is because you no longer need to use the touch screen capability with the Game Boy Advance games. Working yellow bottom screen. Let's see. Wow, this is a wild one here. Yep, yeah, this one's perfect. This one's yellow. So there you go. Working yellowing bottom screen, use top. Okay, so we have a bunch here where we're going to be using the top screens. I don't want to jump into that on this particular stream. I'll do a how-to video for that for those interested. So we have these 3 to pick from right over here. let me go ahead and set everything down and kind of go over a couple other things. I'm gonna sit my butt down here and lower our table real quick. And let's catch up with the chat. How did you pay for all those DSs? I paid a lot of money for nothing. I decided that I just wanted to do this, and I'm hoping that I can make a few, and for those interested, I'll hopefully recoup some of that. But I definitely spent hundreds of dollars on broken DSs to try to make this happen. And for those wondering, yeah, the files will totally be free. They're not going to be behind a paywall or anything. Anyone will be able to make them, remix them, whatever, as long as they're not commercially selling the files and the DSs without my permission. Everything else will be free. So if you guys want to make one of these later, you would be good to go. How much did you buy this box for? I don't remember off the top of my head. I did buy a big box and a smaller box, and then there was a bunch of American DSs. I believe all these are Japanese, though. There's actually no difference outside of just some text differences between the two. They all have really exactly the same components. Yeah, there's a couple differences in the shells, but nothing too crazy. All right, so let's try this poll thing. I've never actually done it through YouTube, so let's give that a whirl. Here we go. I can do it down here on my handy dandy keyboard. Let's see. So let's do a plus here. Start a poll. Okay. Which color DS should we break down for the build? We got white, pink. I know this isn't a critical thing, but I just want to make sure it works. I've never done it before, and it'd be fun. Blue. All right, let's start a poll. I wonder how this works. Let me know. Oh, okay, it pops it up in the top there. Nice. Cool. I wonder if I'll be able to see it live while you guys are casting your votes and whatnot. That'll be fun. How old does a game have to be called retro? Is there an antique category? There is. I guess all that would be retro, huh? So yeah, I've been a big fan of the original Game Boy, and I still have my very original brick Game Boy. It's up on my shelf up there. I guess it's off camera right now. If I go a little bit higher, you might be able to see it up right there. And I didn't want to butcher it, but I did want to make an ultimate version, so I ended up building this. Once again, these things get really, really expensive, but this has a crazy amplifier with a crazy speaker. It has a color screen, LEDs, new buttons, new casing. It has a USB-C battery, and most importantly, it runs one of these carts that lets you put on any ROM that you own. So it can literally run hundreds upon hundreds of games on here. But the problem is, as much as I love these things and I hold them near and dear to my heart, it gets a little boring. You know, the games have changed nowadays, and they're not complex. They're very simple. Yeah, this is also very, very loud. Like, extremely loud. It'll blow your eardrum out. But having these games in color is amazing. Oh, let me try to turn the brightness down here just a bit. There we go. Yeah, so you have full control over the screen. You can choose different colors, which is amazing. So it really makes this system just awesome. And I carried this thing around for months with me and played so many games that I didn't even know existed. I really fell in love with it, and that's why I started making some of the other systems. And then I kind of got into this because I kept coming back to my Game Boy Advance. I used to have one as a kid, obviously, and that was my favorite one. I have a Game Boy Micro. Okay, so that's another thing worth mentioning is I never had a Game Boy Micro. I always wanted one, but they're very expensive even still. So this obviously pays homage to the Game Boy Micro with its styling. And depending on how you print this case, you can print the center in a color or the outside to make the center pop. And that's kind of the whole point, is kind of an in-between and a nod to the Micro with the design. Another thing that I really wanted to achieve with this is, as you can see, it's simplified. It doesn't have a battery door, which does make it a little bit harder to assemble, but you only need to do that one time. But two of the major things that this does is, well, three. It uses stock speakers. You don't have to purchase speakers. It has both of them. The motherboard is held in place with clips instead of the stock hardware. The stock hardware with 3D printed cases was always so difficult. I've broken so many and had to reprint so many with other designs, yada, yada, yada. So I wanted to skip that. So I made my own way of holding the motherboards in here, as you'll see. And then obviously the ability to use the top or bottom screen that makes this extremely unique. And like I said, I'll make a tutorial on how to use the top screen a little bit later outside of this particular build. Yeah, there's also a couple other things that you guys will see as we start building, but there's definitely a lot of fun little choices that you can make with these. You can go really basic and use everything from here, or you can make a different, you can pick different buttons, so on and so forth. I had no idea they were valuable. There are a bunch of these that are very valuable, especially Pokemon series carts, if they're in good condition. Game Boy Advances hold value. Game Boy SP holds even more value, especially if it's the later one that has a backlit screen. There's a ton of these things. As always, people collect all these type of things. So, anyone have a free place to sell stuff? I don't think that's a thing. Facebook is I mean, even on Facebook, if you pay through Facebook, they take your money. I mean, someone's providing you a service. Everything's going to take their own percentage off of a weight, so. The poll replaces the pinned comment, just letting you know. Oh, I didn't know that. That's actually a great thing to know. On my screen, I have both. On my screen, I have both, but obviously I don't. So if I go here, I think we could see the chat. Yeah, I mean, I can see both. Maybe not on the phone or something like that, but I'll take the poll down in a minute. Hey, Shannon, how you doing? All right, so let's see. I'm going to keep going. So let's see what the poll results are. Actually, how do I do that? I'm guessing here somewhere. Let's see. All right, I'm going to end the poll. Everyone cast your last votes on which one of these that you guys want me to see me use. All right, I'm going to end the poll. And how do I see? Oh, there we go. Oh, it just posted in there. That's neat. That's cool. Good job, YouTube. Okay, so majority of the people said blue, 21 folks. All right, there it is. We'll take these away, throw them over here. Oh, one other thing I wanted to show you. I have been reiterating a million times. I have printed so many of these. I thought it'd be fun to just keep them, even though I'm gonna obviously throw them in the garbage or recycle the plastic. But I have been working so hard on this thing for so long. Every time I thought that I had it correct, there was just something that I didn't like about it. And so, yeah, that's probably why you guys haven't seen a consistent series of videos from me, is because I've been doing this. But yeah, just as a little thing. That's how much I've been working on this. Oh, also, one of the other main things about this case is all the other 3D printed cases that I have messed with. All of them have had they use their own hardware. This uses M2x10 hardware with M2 nuts. And the nuts, as you'll see a little bit later, have a pocket that they slide into, which makes this extremely easy to assemble and way more rigid than some of the other 3D printed cases out there. So I'm very excited about that as well. On phone only shows poll, PC shows both. Oh, okay, cool. So now we should be back to having a pinned comment at the top, right? Only thing I found is Mercari, but I can't find it anymore. I remember I bought something on Mercari a long time ago. I think it was a gaming mouse, and I got scammed, and I had to get like well, they just didn't send me one or something like that. Like they said they did, but never did. Broken top screen, yellowing screen. All right. Okay, so you're going to need a couple tools for these things. First off, I'm just going to pull them off. There's no order. Kapton tape. This stuff is awesome. You're going to need it to protect some of the components like the speakers and the top of the screen so that there's just less possibility of shorts. But this also helps a lot in when you're holding things down like the wires for the speaker. So highly suggest this. You could use electrical tape as well, but this is nice and thin and works really well, so you're going to need that. I also use this really thin gauge wire speaker wire, just really thin gauge wire. It helps a lot. You can use a bunch of scrap wire, things like that, but this is what I recommend. This is very inexpensive. There's a ton of it when you buy it, and you're going to need 2 strands of 10 inches, and that's all I use for the build. Actually, let's go ahead and cut that now. So we'll just do, here, let's do some colorful ones. We'll do this purple and orange. I like to get it all the way out to here, mark it, cut it, bada bing, bada boom. So there you go. What gauge is this? I don't remember. It is very small. Is it 30? Yeah, I think it's 30 or even 28. 28 or 30. I honestly don't remember off the top of my head, but it is very small wire. You don't need much, but you just need 20 inches total. All right, so then we have a couple of other things. Probably one of the most important things for this build is these little guys. So these are tiny, tiny, tiny resistors. I have a link to it in the description. For $5, you buy 300 of these, and you only need one. And there are places you can buy less, but they are equal or if not more money most of the time. These are tiny, as you can see by my fingernail. They're tiny, tiny, tiny. You need one of these, and what you're going to do with this is going to trick the motherboard into thinking that the upper screen is still on when you're just using the lower screen. You're going to need it. So I do have some buttons, some rubbers here, but we're not going to need them. I just have them here in case the ones in the DS are really old. I would still be able to use them. I do have some that are in great condition from other ones, so I will hold on to those. And I'll show you what we do with these. This thing is going to have to be cut in a certain way because we're doing a 2-button setup with a speaker, but we will save that for a little bit later. Then we're going to need everything from here. We'll need scissors. Scissors are nice to have. You need a 3-prong. I don't remember what the name of these things is, but you need a 3-sided Phillips to unlock the original case, and a really thin Phillips to get some of these bolts off. So for example, this little guy back here, the battery door, wham bam, thank you ma'am, this thing's out of here like that. So yeah, you need a small screwdriver with a Phillips and a 3-prong, 3-sided screwdriver there. Let's just take this battery out while we're here. Come on out of there. Bam. Okay. What else do we need? We also need some small pliers. This is actually really useful to push in the M2 hardware. We're gonna need some snips to cut your wires, whatnot, things like that. You're gonna need an X-Acto or some kind of blade. I use this for the buttons. If you buy aftermarket buttons, they often have these little burrs on them, and it really helps with that. Tweezers. I recommend these for anyone that's 3D printing anything anyway, for grabbing stuff off the build plate so you don't touch it with your fingers, things like that. And this is really going to help us with the small hardware. And we have a small Allen key for the M2 hardware. Speaking of M2 hardware, let me grab mine. And I'll show you what we're doing. All right, so we need M2 by 10s, just 4 of them. I chose the socket heads, but you can do button heads as well. They'll work just fine. And additionally, whoops, so it's a washer. Additionally, we need 4 nuts, 4 M2 nuts. So there you go. That is what you need to have this thing come together. So we'll set that down here for a little bit later. There's also a few optional things that you're going to need. Oh, and you obviously need a soldering iron. I use this D60, been using it for everything for years. I run it off of one of my drone batteries, and it is absolutely awesome. So we will take that, need the cable, set that off screen over there. I also like to use a rag because you're going to be dealing with a screen and you're going to have to wipe it here and there. So there you go, that's the stuff that we need. We obviously need a case, some buttons. I like to use a strap as well. And then the optional thing that you're going to need is a screen surround. Okay, these are very inexpensive. I have a link down in the description for Handheld Legends. They sell these. You can find them elsewhere if you'd like as well. But I do have a coupon code for these. Basically, you need one of these, and this will allow you to have the best, I guess, action on your start and select buttons. It'll work regardless, but this really makes the screen as thin as possible, which is really nice. The bottom screen specifically. The top screen doesn't need any of this stuff as long as it's already in good condition. Since on these DS Lites, the bottom screen is something that is a touch screen, and most children just end up destroying this, as well as some adults. Right, so they end up being in pretty rough shape, but since there's no touchscreen, we can take the what's it called off. Oh, this one is broken. All right, this one was the one with the broken top screen. Oh, battery's on. I'm like, why is this not booting anymore? But yeah, I was just gonna show you the screen. I guess it won't really matter anymore. Right, this is broken. All right, so yeah, I was just gonna say that we will be removing any of the protective stuff on here anyway. So if the bottom screen is scratched up, it won't matter. This one just happens to be in absolutely perfect shape. So that is very lucky, actually. All right, so let's put that in the trash. All right, so I think that goes over everything that we're gonna need. You can buy buttons, but you can also use these stock ones. Obviously, you can buy one of these in black or any of the other colors that you might like. These blue ones are actually really nice. I'm gonna save these buttons for other builds as well. But yeah, so what do you guys want to do? Let me know in the chat. Should I take this apart and prep it first and then move on to the case? Or do you guys want to pick the case now in a poll? Actually, you know what we'll do? I'll put this up and put this up on a poll, and while I'm removing everything from the stock build and going over it, you guys can vote on which case you guys want me to install this in. How about that? So let's set up a poll for this. Let me catch up real quick with everyone who's here. Hey Zumi, how you doing? Petty Ruxpin, what's up? What's up? It's called a triangle bit. No, it's not a triangle because there is literal triangle bits. This one is just a three-sided Phillips essentially. Tri-bit? Yeah, maybe tri-bit. That sounds okay. I'm always having issues. Spoken well. Hey Caleb, what's up? What's up? Hey, welcome to the crew, Martin. Thank you. Pick a case? All right, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. All right, let me make the poll, because that seems like a fun little thing. So for those just jumping in, there's a pinned comment at the top. If you guys are going to stick around till the end, be sure to jump into that pinned comment and have yourself a chance to win a spool of PLA+. There's 12 folks in there now, so very good chances to win a spool. Hey, BWS, what's up, what's up, what's up? All right, let me do this. Let me go over these cases. Here, I'll flip them for you guys. Don't vote just yet. Well, let me make the poll. But I mean, like, don't vote. Let me go over them first. So let's start a poll. How many options do we have? We need 6 options. Will it let me do 6 options? Ooh, it might not let me. So it looks like 4 might be the top. Let's see. Which case should we build this MacroSOS in? So the first one is we'll do carbon plus gold buttons. The next one I wanted to do is the Gengar build. Gengar build is purple plus green buttons. Then we also have all white, the Blanco build. We have the black and white carbon. Oh man, I can't select anymore. Well, that's a bummer. That kind of removes these two. All right, well, how about this, guys? How about this? Before I make this post, before I make this poll and leave it on here for a little while, those of you guys in the chat, let me know which 4 of these you guys like the most. Or maybe let's do this because it'll be easier to list 2. Which ones don't you like? So I'm going to go over each one. So an all white with a white strap. Well, it's gray, but white strap and white buttons. So just an all white build. I always wanted to make one of these. I thought they'd be pretty fun. We have a black and white with carbon center. Real neat. Should look really nice. We have this awesome sparkly black with sparkly blue, transparent with transparent buttons. We have that with a gray strap. We have the same as the Pokemon theme, the blue, red, and yellow, or blue, red, and green. We also have that in yellow with yellow buttons to match the Pikachu build. We have a Gengar build, which would be purple with a purple strap with green buttons. So that should be cool. Also, this has a the black on here is sparkly. So Gengar build. And then this one should be really slick. This is carbon fiber PLA with gold buttons, with chrome gold buttons with a black strap. So I need to figure out which 2 to remove here because the poll only holds 4. Yellow's the only one I don't like. Okay. No white, no sparkly. Okay, so far I've only heard about those. Not a fan of the all white and the black and white. Love all the others. Okay, so that's kind of 2 votes for that. That's moving away a little bit further. Kenneth, hello, first of all, but we're trying to figure out which ones not to build because my poll can only hold 4 options apparently. No on the blue sparkle one. Okay, so still these are the ones that are getting the nose. White and the other white. Okay, yeah, those have gotten the most so far. Yeah, the all white is too much. Okay. Both the white ones. All right, so we'll put these in the poll then. And I'm actually surprised because this one is super cool looking. No yellow black. White might get dirty fast. It totally will get dirty fast. But there's just something about an albino build that looks cool, especially with the splash screen, you know. But I get if you guys don't like it. Remove the white one and the blue one. These 2. I like the white black. I do too. I really do like this one. This is one that I built for myself a little earlier. This has the other pattern. So this complements it really well. It'll basically look like that, but this has the carbon fiber look, which is neat. All let's go, just carbon fiber. All right, we'll do this. I'm going to remove the white one, the all white, and I'll remove the transparent sparkly for now. And we'll put those up in a poll and see where that goes. Also, I have many more cases in many more colors. There's more of them over there, so and more I can build at any time. All right, so here's a closer look at these and their buttons. Let me make the poll. So we got carbon and gold buttons, the Gengar build. We got black. Oh, we'll do Pikachu. Build is black and yellow. I spelled Pikachu wrong. Pikachu. And then black and white with carbon center. Also worth noting, the carbon one. Oh, yeah, it'll get white buttons. I was going to say I have transparent black buttons as well, but it'll look good like that. Why can't I start this poll? Must contain between 1 and 35 characters. Is this really too many characters? Oh, yeah, it is. Okay. Gengar build. How can I have less in here? All right, I'll just have to move the plus into a funky spot. There we go. All right. And only 4 max, that's kind of odd. All right, starting poll right now. There you go, everybody. You should see the poll now. Looks like it's a little bit off the screen on mine, but I can see it on in my main chat, so it's all good. Yeah, let me know while I take apart that case. It should be fun. I like the sparkly blue, but not on this. Yeah, I like the sparkly blue too, but yeah, I can see it's the softest one. I did make this one, which is just the blue without the black. It's transparent with the transparent buttons, and I love that you can still see the electronics underneath of it. So and it has a pink surround on the lower screen there, so it makes this like kind of ice cream looking device. Also, another thing about this case is it's really slim. Like the buttons don't protrude, which some people don't like, and I totally get it. Like for example, the classic systems, the buttons come out quite a bit. But this is way more pocketable because it's really thin and almost feels like a cell phone, just with a smaller screen. So just a ton of benefits. Gengar, yeah, the Gengar one's gonna be hot, hot, hot. We got, I can also do a green lanyard with that. Also, check this out. So I have, this whole thing is filled with buttons. You guys can tell how much money I've spent on this. It's filled with buttons, filled with games, because every system that I sell is going to come with a game. But I also have one green lanyard. So that might be cool for the Gengar build. But I think purple is going to go really well with it. And then the other thing that I will also be including with every single set is a charger, a USB charger. So yeah, there's just drawers and drawers filled with components for this thing ready to go. And obviously about a million screens, and you guys will see why. All right, so let me know which one of these you'd like. In the meantime, let's get this thing undone. All right, so I'm gonna move these maybe over here so you can still see them a bit. But let's get the build underway. And if you guys ever notice that something is not in view or something along those lines, please let me know, because I can't always look up and see every single thing while I'm working on this stuff. So I really like the carbon fiber in gold. How did you get the carbon fiber? Yeah, that guy makes. I have that's right. I have a short showcase of how I did it. Some build plates have different textures on them, and the texture comes off on the build plate. So this one was printed on a carbon fiber build plate, and that texture comes off on it. And then same with this one. It comes with this holographic raw carbon look, and it just comes off onto the plastic and just makes it gorgeous. I do have others, like I have little stars and rainbows and things. Obviously not my style, but I'm sure some people will like that, especially with the pink buttons and whatnot. So I will probably be making some transparent purples and pinks on those other build plates at some point. All right, so here's how we take this sucker apart. Make sure it's off, obviously, right? And we're gonna take off this little guy. So this is a protector for the bottom advanced slot. So we'll just remove that, set it aside. I actually would love a bag that I can toss all this in. So let me grab that just so I have somewhere to put it. As you guys know, I can't have things laying around or else my OCD is gonna kick in and I'm going nuts. All right, let's get my tweezers here. So the first thing I like to do is just remove these little pads, and it just gives us access to the rest of the screws. All right, we'll get our dandy screwdriver here and start undoing the little tiny nuts in the battery door, or bolts rather, in the battery door inside. One of them holds the motherboard in place, the other is for the case. And we'll do these two right over here. And the other three corners, by the way, they have the tri-tip. There's one over here as well. Don't forget that one. That's a tricky one. That's a tri-tip as well. So there we go. We'll switch over. And get that undone. Like I said, and as you can see, these things are tiny, tiny, tiny. And that was one of my biggest gripes with the other 3D printable cases, is they're all using the stock hardware and it just threads into plastic and just doesn't work well. I also tried to use heat inserts, and I purchased a ton of them because I thought that was the way to go. But it had a bunch of other errors. Things would warp, get a little hot, things like that. So I just decided to try a different way, and the M2 nuts just work perfect, as you guys will see in a little while. All right, so that's all the hardware there. So to get it apart, you open it, and you kind of just start at the back here, kind of prying it apart. If you put your fingernail in there and just go around, it will pop right off. Just keep in mind this has some buttons and springs, like for example, that right here wanted to come off, and you're gonna need those. Turn this thing just a little bit this way. Is that little screwdriver also a Hodo? It is a Hodo screwdriver. It's not one that I talk about all the time because it is very expensive for what it is. There's others out there, but to be honest, as you guys might know, the other Hodo that I have, this is the same story. It's just better than others. I even have another one over here that's in a similar category. This one's just more powerful, holds a battery better. It's just more slick. It's just nice. So it might be worth it. I do have a coupon code for Hodo that's in the description. So Fendor, if I get kicked because of my bad Wi-Fi connection, I think the giant storm's coming through my area, messing with the towers. Yeah, I mean, if I still win, you have my Discord. Well, that guy makes, I understand the problem, but the rule is you have to be present here in the chat. So I'm not going to go like finding people. So, you know, if somebody, and I do have a 5-minute rule. So if you do win, maybe someone else will be kind enough to go. But, you know, keep in mind, you have to be present. All right, so these buttons over here that came out, the shoulder buttons, you want to hold on to these pins and the small springs. You will be reusing those. And obviously hold on to the buttons if you are going to be using them as well. But these springs like to fly around the room, and I've had them go into carpet, and I have sat on my knees and trying to look for those things for hours on end. So yeah, keep those near and dear. So I'll just be putting the hardware in there. And then what we need to do is go back to our regular Phillips to remove this one on the motherboard right over here. And now the motherboard should come out pending a few things. All right, so let's get it a little closer for you guys. So this is what the back of the motherboard will look like. You'll be doing a bunch of stuff on this later. So some of the first things I like to do is remove the Wi-Fi antenna and the microphone that's over here. Just because it'll be easier later. When the motherboard is held down like that, it's just a little bit easier. Otherwise, you should be good to move it up and get this out of here. So what you want to do is kind of push upward on the screen just a little bit. And as you can see, it'll come up. You don't want to just yank this thing up. You want to fold it up just like this. And that is because the top screen is still hooked up right over here. And the way to undo it is to just with your fingernail kind of pull up on the black portion, and it should pop right out of there. I'll just be gentle. Even though this screen is broken, I'm still going to act as though it's not, because it is still usable. There you go. So the only other thing you have to do is kind of fish this connector from underneath here, the Wi-Fi connector. Sometimes you got to kind of spin it. There it goes. All right, so this is the main portion. This is the motherboard and the front screen. So the other thing here is the front screen is connected right over here with this tiny, tiny ribbon cable. There's a little black flap. You just lift it and you kind of just pull that. I like to put the flap back down so we don't snag it on anything. And the same over here. You put your fingernail underneath the ribbon cable, pull it up, and this whole thing's just pop right out of here with a little wiggle. There you go. So you have your screen, which we're going to be using this one. Set that to the side. And you have your motherboard. So let's close these so that you don't mess them up by accident. This one looks to be in great shape. Sometimes these buttons are a little bit dirty or have some gunk on them, and you can just use isopropyl alcohol to clean it up. This one looks like it's in great shape. Sometimes the volume button gets a little gunky. This one's also clean. And the power button also tends to be, but this looks pretty good. Yeah, no issues here. All right, and then the side buttons click just fine. The other thing with the side buttons is sometimes these don't work. And what you can do is you can just pop out these little rubbers. right over here. They just come right out. Pour some isopropyl alcohol in there, give it some time to dry up, put it back, click a whole bunch, and I guarantee you they will work. All right, so that's the motherboard. Let's set that aside. So now we have battery, screen, we have our pins, our springs. Let's get the rest. So now we need these guys. I'm going to check if they're okay. No cracks. That's good. I'll show you where we're going to cut this one in particular. This one's from the D-pad. Let's check that out. Great condition. Just some dust here and there, but actually really good shape. Don't need new ones there. Let's pop out all these buttons. We'll need this one as well for the start and select. There we go. All right, here's the buttons. Put those in this bag. All right, then we'll start to harvest the rest. So there is some tricky things here. And we do need to get to that top screen if you're going to be using the top screen, but most importantly, the speakers in here is what we need. To do that, you got to take apart this hinge, 2 bolts. And this is the part where you have to be a little bit careful because this ribbon cable is actually really fragile and it's tricky to get out. So that now that this one is disconnected, you'll see you can slide this guy just a little bit more and it should start freeing itself. The thing that I like to do is push both of these out of here just so they're out of the way so I can just deal with the ribbon cable alone. So we will just kind of gently pull them up, try to get them out of there, and then deal with the ribbon cable. Here's one, here's the other. All right, now that those aren't in there, the ribbon cable actually has this little slit right here in the plastic, and you can put it in there. You got to be careful here. Oftentimes, these systems are very old as well, and things have just gotten a little bit brittle, and this ribbon cable tends to do that. So as you can see, this part is definitely a little bit annoying, a little bit tricky. Let's see if I can lower it down here and use my tweezers to help. Of course, that works right away. So there you go. We'll kind of slide that in there. There you go. That's free. We have our case and our little hinge. Put that in the bag. All right. Now, as you see, there's this little metal ring right over here. That's where the pliers come in. Grab it a little bit, give it a little wiggle, and it should slide out. This is another one of those things where you want to be really careful. It does have a slit in it, once again, for the ribbon cable. So let's find that and utilize. Where are you, buddy? I keep pushing it in there over and over again. Whoa, this one does not. Look at that. They typically have a slit in it. I've actually never seen one without one. So must be a difference between different models. Interesting. I've never noticed that there was one without one. So what you can do is obviously just roll this cable up. Once again, it's definitely fragile, definitely annoying. If your cable is already torn or your upper screen is broken, which 90% of these are, feel free to just rip that sucker out of there. But yeah, you kind of roll it in there just like that. Hold it with your finger. Pull this over it. There we go. And now we're free. Interesting. Out of all the ones that I've built, that usually has a little slit in it. So that's kind of interesting. All right, so here's how we take this apart. This is going to have 4 screws hidden underneath these 4 stickers. So you kind of have to push in and peel up. There is no pretty way to do this part. Most of the time, if you do a recase or anything like that on original DS Lite, they will come with these new ones because there's no real good way to do it. You can be real gentle on the sides and they peel up and kind of look iffy. So I just poke them, get them out of there. Those go right in the trash. All right, we got 4 more screws. And then we should be able to take this apart. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, let's set those in the bag. And then there's one more thing here. The actual hinge mechanism itself, you can just kind of pull that right out of there like that. There you go. That's a little hinge. All right, so to get the screen out of here, you just push up or down, depending on which way you're looking at the screen. And this should now peel away from the other case. There we go. And we have ourselves our speakers and screen. So I'll just push on the screen, get it out of here. It's a little bit, it's glued basically. So here's another, yet again, another thing you have to put this ribbon cable through. You're pretty much constantly fiddling with it and just hopes that you didn't break it by pulling on it too much. There we go. Slip that on out of here. You know what we'll do? I'll take this microphone out. See if I can pull this out of here just to help free up some space. There we go. Does that help? It does. There we go. We got it out. So we don't need the antenna. We don't need the microphone. We don't need the case. We just need this. So the speaker here is tucked into the screen, and we do need these two wires. They'll just make it a little bit easier. Let's get our snips. So I'll cut them right at the solder joints. So here we go. We have our one speaker with the two long wires. We have a short speaker with short wires. And we have our screen. So just as a quick note here about this screen, if you're going to use the top screen, like I said, I'll make a tutorial specifically for it. The reason why this is really handy is because it's really thin, but it has this metal casing around it. And you actually need to remove this casing, and it could be a pain in the butt for sure. You have to be really careful. It's another potential failure point. But it's somewhat easy to do if you just take your time. Like I said, I'll make a video for it. And then you have to modify this ribbon cable with a blade, just a tiny bit. You have to cut off a few of these on the end there. See the thick ones? You have to cut them off. And then you'll totally be able to use this. So I wouldn't necessarily buy one of these if you wanted to build one just to use this. I would rather use the bottom screen with a lens protector or the stock protector, and I'll show you that. But that's all you really need to do. You need to remove this, cut that, and then there's a unique way to fold this thing like that. I'll be able to show you later on how to be able to use this. This one's broken though. I'm going to set it off to the side. We'll be able to use that for something else, but not for it to be functional. Maybe for a do-it-yourself video. All right, that's it. We've harvested everything that we need from this thing. So let me go ahead and get started on preparing the motherboard. Let's see what you guys have been saying in the comments. Keeps you from entering the contest and leaving. Oh yeah, that's right, that's right. He's having way too much fun with this. Edward, I am. I do really enjoy this stuff. I really do. It's like I said, it's electronics, it's 3D printing, it's kind of just everything together. Repurposing old hardware. It's all of it. I do really enjoy it. Let's see how our poll is looking. Does it tell me anywhere? Not yet. These are neato. Hey, thank you. Appreciate that. Retro gaming. No need to say sorry. Thanks for being here. No, I'm not. No, it'll be tough to start a gaming channel with retro gaming like this. But there is a few out there that are really fun to watch, actually. But nope, I just really enjoy making these things. Or, you know, design, 3D printing, electronics, repurposing. It's all the things I hold near and dear. Just, yeah, exactly. Zoomy knows. That's right. You'd be good at doing ortho redraw. Oh my god. Yeah, no, I don't want to do that. I don't wanna. But thank you. PAL Kitty V10 makes better Game Boy Advance. Yeah, I mean, listen, this isn't an ideal device. This is an inexpensive project that lets you recycle, that, you know, lets you use your 3D printer, lets you make these funky color combos. It's just a fun project. I wouldn't necessarily say that this device is like the best, if that makes sense. It's definitely not. It has some drawbacks, for sure. But over top of a regular Advance, for example, the pocketability, just the shape is a little bit easier to place into things. The buttons don't protrude as much. It has a color screen. The sound is actually really decent with the double speakers on this thing. Most importantly, you can use an R4 card, which is significantly less expensive than one of these easy flashes. You know what I mean? This definitely has its benefits over the original Game Boy Advance, even though the screen's a little bit smaller, things of that nature. But also just economical. It's very economical. But yeah, PAL Kitty devices are also economical, but they kind of add more, and this removes, you know, so pretty cool. That bit's called a tri-wing. Nice. Thank you for doing the research, Zoomy. Bro, you're in Florida, bro. Great stuff. See you every day. Zoomy is, yeah. Also, not a bro. Hey, Zachary. I was wondering if you have any experience using color change commands for the SK1. When it gets to the M600 command, it says it does not recognize it. Because Clipper, I think, uses a different command. So yeah, I would use in Orca Slicer, I would do a pause command on a certain layer. That's how I've done it countless times. I've printed all of these like that. They're a slightly different layer. So Clipper recognizes that in Orca Slicer. So try that, Zachary. Also, feel free to message me on Discord and stuff, and we'll figure it out there too. Bruh, nice. My wife says I'm a hoarder for hanging all this old stuff and needs fixing. See, the thing is, mine does too, but she doesn't come down here very often, and I just keep things in boxes. So that's the solution. Not bro, but I am, dude. You're gonna confuse everybody, Zoomy. Anyway. Yeah, absolutely, Zach. All right. So let's prep the motherboard with some soldering stuff that we have to do, and then we'll do the case stuff and the screen stuff. So yeah, first let's do the motherboard. So I think for this, I'm gonna zoom in a whole bunch, which means we're gonna lose the cases on the screen, but that's probably okay. Let's go console, let's move this inward, and guys and girls, I am going to cover this a bit. Like, it's inevitable. Here, I'll try to do it upside down. Let me get my battery going for my soldering iron. There we go. Set this up over here. Get this, and we'll heat it up. Another thing I really love about the soldering iron running off of a 6S battery is just how fast it heats. It's really just something else. So there you go, we're already at around 300, so I'll put a little bit of solder on the tip, just like that, and then clean it off. All right, so the points that you are looking for this to tin are going to be the LED A2 and LED C2. Okay, those are the two that you want to start with. We'll put just enough solder to make a little dot. just like that. Maybe a little more on this one. There we go, and it makes a little dot. The other two, those are going to be where your resistor goes. And I'll explain that when I'm doing it. The next one is SPL0 and SPR0. For those that have done this before or can guess, this is for your left speaker, and this is for your right speaker. There you go. Those are the 4 points that we need. And then on the back, while you have your solder, there is a headphone jack, and we are going to use this lower point right over here just to put a little bit more tin on it, or tin it up rather, because this is going to be the point where we're going to use as ground for our speakers. The reason why you want to do that is because some of the other grounds on here tend to pull power from the battery, whereas this one does not. I saw a video someone did, or not a video, a post someone made with a bunch of testing because his were dying rapidly, and that's what he ended up figuring out, is the speakers going on to down there work very well. All right, so those are our points. Let's do one more thing here. Let's prepare the electronics portion. So first, we need this tiny, tiny, tiny resistor out of this little packaging. And if you do anything wrong, this thing falls down and you never find it again, because it is tiny. Yeah, I can't even grab that. I need there we go. Let's do that. There we go. Now it's peeled. Let's see if I can dump this out of here. Okay, even getting it out of a package is a challenge because it's so tiny. There we go. That's how small it is. You can't even see this thing. Look at that. That's what we're soldering. And I promise you, it's actually easier than it might seem. So that's one thing. The next is our wires. So what we want to do is, I just use my fingernail for this. I just take off the tiniest amount, because as soon as you add some heat to these wires, they'll actually peel back a little bit. We just want to prep this for our speakers. There we go. We got 2 on this side, 2 on this side. And then on the speaker here, we'll do the same with this end. And actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off these ends, because they tend to have some funky stuff on them and they make it a little bit harder to solder sometimes. So there we go. We'll do that. That's the end of the longer speaker wire. And we're going to do some funky stuff here real quick with the speakers. So first things first, I'm going to remove the speaker wires on the short one here. There's 1. There's 2. And this solder is really, really smelly, by the way, just so you guys know. All right, and then what I want to do is I want to remove the ground, or the power one, excuse me, the red wire. I want to remove the red wire from the speaker with the long one. We'll just heat that up and remove it. And we're going to put this on to the left side, the ground side. I know the colors are going to be funky, and if this is going to confuse you, definitely use a different wire if you want to. But you want to put this one, solder this one, onto this speaker where the ground was. All right, there we go. Let's let it dry. Solidify rather. There we go. So we have 2 speakers. On the left side, my left side, we have a red wire. On the same side, left side, we have the ground wire. Okay, that's how we're going to set these speakers up. I'm going to set them aside. Yes, they do like to slam shut on each other just like that. Better, I don't want to do this, I'll just buy one. I totally get it, and that's why I think I'm going to have some of these for sale. It's just because I know not everyone's going to want to do this, but I love it. All right, so now the interesting part. We got to get the wire speakers on here, and most importantly, this little tiny resistor. I like to turn it sideways, just like this. And now I'm going to get this tiny little resistor, and I'm just going to slide it over here. You guys see it? I'm hoping that you can see it. So what I do is I put it right over top of our LED A2 and LED C2, just like that, the 2 bubbles that we essentially made of solder. And what I'm going to do is I'm just gonna hold it generally in place, and I'm gonna heat one side up, and as you can see, it just got sucked down just like that, and one of those is on. So I rotate it. You no longer have to hold it, it just helps. And then we get the other side, and just like that, I'll show you. There we go. It might not be perfectly straight, but it's between those 2 points, and the solder is holding both sides. And now we can power this thing on with one screen. And the best way to do that is to test, right? So to test, we grab our battery, set that down right into here. I like to push it on there. Hold on. There we go. Like to push it on like this. And we're gonna look at this LED while we put this up. There you go. And actually, I think it won't start without the screen on there. So let's just throw the screen on there real quick for the test. Right, because it needs a screen for it to turn on. Of course, better. So just putting that, oops, I forgot that I'm not on camera. I'm just sliding this on real quick. Pushing this down. Putting the battery back. Holding. Power. Whoops. My gosh. Of course, I do this a million times and it's fine. Put the camera on there and here I go fumbling. Anyway, there we go. The screen lights up. It actually goes. If this wasn't working, it would just blink one time and nothing would happen. So we are good to go. This thing is ready to go. If you didn't want speakers, you could just throw it into a case now with buttons and be good to go. But we want speakers, so we're moving on. All right, back to our soldering. We're gonna get our speaker wires here. And I'm going to use, let's see, should we use orange for right? We'll use orange for right. So we'll do the left one first because it's at the top. And we're gonna solder this to SPL0. And we want it to go upward. In your case, downward, because that's the way you're looking. We're just gonna touch it, throw it on there, wait for it to solidify. Get the next one. Orange is gonna be the right one. Saying that out loud just so that I don't forget. There we go, same thing. So I like to do this in a pretty specific way. I like to get these in between this little resistor right over here and the connector flat, as flat as I can get, and then bend it right around here. So as you can see, I didn't go in that hole, I went around it, and you don't want that because there's a left button here, or right button. But this is laying nice and flat. Let's get some tape. I'll actually cut off a bigger piece and cut this one down just a bit. That will make this another square. Like this. All right, and then let's go ahead and put this right over top of everything. Make sure you don't get anything over the buttons, and this will just help you hold these in place. And this side of the board should be good to go. Now we flip it over here and want these wires to continue going. So I kind of like hold it with my thumb flat this way, bend them up through here and down this way. All right, and that will also keep it nice and tidy and out of the way of everything. So once again, we'll take a little piece of tape, put it right over top here. Don't worry about covering anything up. There's nothing over here to cover. As long as those wires just kind of stay right there. All right, and orange is right. Yep, orange right. There we go. So that's how we're gonna have them going up, down, in between the power connector here, power connector, and just over in this direction. All right. All right, so keeping the board down like this, let me zoom out some. Maybe zoom in just the hair. Hey, True Rex, I have the Micron config almost done. I have a few final details tests. Might have them ready tomorrow morning. Awesome. That's great. I'm glad to hear it. These SMD are really are easy to lose in the. Oh yeah, they're just tiny, tiny, tiny. No, I did not. Whoops, this one. No, I did not find the screw. Patience is key to reworking electronics, finding the parts. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Anyone ever print? No, but I've seen it done many times, even on some really fast machines. All right, so we have our 2 wires here, ready for some speakers. So why don't we get our speakers? So it doesn't matter which one of these you go where, just make sure they're not. Make sure they're just separate. I'm gonna tin the tip here just a little bit. They don't need a lot. Just make sure it's nice and clean. All right, so I'm going to take one of these and I'm just gonna solder the other to the other side of our speaker. There we go. And then keeping the wires separate, we'll take our other speaker, solder it to that. So the orange one is going to be our right speaker. There we go. And now, remember that one point that we used over here? Or talked about, rather? So keeping the wires separate again. Let's put one of them on there first. And I'll show you, I'll zoom in a little bit closer in a second so you guys can see it. There is a mounting hole that will be used right over here. So you do want to avoid getting in the way of said mounting hole. So the wires have to go kind of upward. I'll show you in 1 second. So I'm going to take the other one and go to the same mounting point. So you're going to have 2 wires going to that one ground. Whoops, I unsoldered the other speaker and the wire pulled away from me. Let me grab them both at the same time. There we go. Let's see if I can get them in there now. Here we go. Wait for it to solidify. There it goes. Give them a little tug. Make sure they're on there. All right, so the soldering portion is complete. So we can let the soldering iron cool down. I'll unplug my battery. All right, let me show you what I did here a little bit closer. The speakers always like to snap on top of each other like that. But here we go. So we got our 2 wires for the speakers. They're kind of in this little channel. They go to the other side of the speaker wire. If I'm looking at it this way, they're my right. And then the stock wires that we used, we're using them for ground essentially. So even though one is red, it's still ground. And both those go right over here to that little pin on the bottom of the headphone jack, and they go upward to avoid crossing over this mounting screw. Okay. So that's it. That's the hardest part of the whole build, outside of, I guess, assembling the thing, right? So next thing we need to do is we need to prepare a couple things with tape. One of the things being the speakers. So let's get our tape here. And the reason is the tops of the speakers will be touching some of the components. So what you want to do is cut kind of a square piece and a square piece. And you just want to cover this so that even if there's contact, it won't send any electronics through or short anything or none of that kind of stuff. So that should be good. The other part is the screen. Here, let me get things out of the way here. But first thing I like to do is put some tape on the bottom of the screen here. And this part you want to protect because the cartridge is going to be sliding in and out over here on this ribbon cable. So any amount of tape that you put on here is actually just a great idea. There we go. You can wrap around a little bit. Not gonna matter. Usually two of these are good to go, and then we have a little piece on top there to protect. just like that. Right over here. And then just this little part as well, just in case. Rather be safe than sorry, you know. Just like that. There we go. So the back of this guy is now protected. All right, so you have some options here. So let me move some of the stuff out of the way and we can handle that. All right, solder can move, this can move. Tape is done, I believe, right? Let me cut another piece of tape just to do some wire management later. There we go, put it right over there. All right, let me catch up real quick with the chat. Went down like a dream, nice. Seems better using it with this circuit board, reminded me. It's funny watching this, so many so many scared to fly FPV because they're scared to solder some small wires. Oh yeah, they really are. I've actually learned to really enjoy solder. I've soldered so many things, anything from keyboards to computer components to many FPV drones. I've probably built, what, like 10 drones by now, maybe even more at this point. Endless versions of these things. And every time I was always scared, especially with the keyboards. When you complete something with solder, it feels so good. And the trick was, honestly, to keep the tip clean. Buying one of these sponges, well, not sponges, one of these Brillo things was actually huge. You keep this tinned. Once it's tinned and hot, you clean it off in one of these, and that plays a huge role. These soldering irons are very inexpensive. You don't have to have one that runs off of a drone battery like mine. You can very easily get a plug-in version, but make sure that it goes at least to 350, 400, even 450 would be nice. This one goes up to 400. I keep it around 350. It's been amazing for a very, very long time now, and I think this costs like $30 or $40. So you don't need a ridiculous soldering iron to solder a ton of things. And these little wires, you know, having it hot makes it really fast and easy. Do you use it like some people use painter's tape for bed adhesion? You do, yeah, you can. They make them in like really big strips. Let hairspray be your friend. Nice. Hey, thanks for subscribing, Steven. I use glue stick. Yeah, I use glue stick for ASA as well. Also, Tony, if you're talking about the white residue that it leaves, after you wash it off with some warm water off the printed part, if there's still white on it, like on a black print, use a heat gun or better yet, flame. Literally, flame on ASA or ABS turns it to like almost like a glossy black. If it happened to be white from glue. Yes, we can. Yeah, light flame, torch. Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's talk about this display. So this is the lower display, and this is usually a touchscreen display. So you have a few options here. If you guys don't want to, I guess, destroy the screen, you can always buy one or use the top one if that's available to you. But we are, in this case, at the very least, going to be removing the touchscreen portion. So this thing has plenty of layers, and you do have to be careful. But the way you do that is I like to kind of get my fingernail underneath of this little screen protector that's on there. And as you can tell, when you try to peel it up, it just comes off of the glass. And what's interesting is even this could be just destroyed from use, years and years of use, and kids and stuff using this to scratch, using their things to scratch it like this. It just might be hideous. But as soon as you remove this, it's a piece of glass underneath, and it's beautiful under there. There you go, a brand new display under there, and you can actually peel this connector and break it off. So obviously you now lose your touch screen, but for this you don't need it anymore. And this protector you can now throw out, or you can hold on to it for another reason. So the reason why I ruined is because most of these are ruined. I would say 99% of the ones in that box are already ruined. That's why I bought some. But if yours was in good shape, so here are your options. You can just use this, but keep in mind that this glass is actually much thicker than these inexpensive plastic pieces here. And what that does is it makes your start and select buttons kind of a little bit harder to press. Okay, and that's the solution that I've been seeking. Is these buttons are great, but this, as you can see, it's literally flat. They don't protrude. So to press them, you have to kind of like push with your whole finger. I know not everyone's going to like that, especially if you like don't have fingernails like I don't, so I kind of have to use the tip of my finger. You obviously press start very rarely on these systems, only when you start the game. So it doesn't bother me, but if you use the top screen, or if you use I think this one has it. If you use the top screen, or if you use one of these screens, as you can see, they protrude, and they're definitely much easier to press. So we're gonna do it that way. But keep in mind, if you're on a budget and you don't want to spend the $2 or $3 for one of these things, you can just use your glass. I just wanted to show that you can. And like I said, I've built a bunch with the glass just for budget reasons. So in order to reuse this or to use an aftermarket one, like I will show you now, and we'll use a white one just because you can see it really easy. These don't have adhesive on the back. So you have to try to reuse the adhesive on the back of the original. And it will rip, and it will cause all kinds of things to happen. But all you have to do is just to kind of get your fingernail under there. Like this one's kind of stuck on there pretty good, so I'll use a razor blade to kind of just real gentle go under the glass. You don't want to scratch the actual screen under there, so force your blade to the glass itself, just like that. And keep in mind there is a adhesive strip under there. You're going to try to use this side. Has a ribbon cable. I'm not even going to have my blade anywhere near there. So now that that's kind of peeled up, you just want to go real slow. If you want to heat this up to make it a little bit easier, you can. But if you just kind of peel up slowly, as you can see, it pops right up. So just go slow. There he goes, the other side. And we're peeled. There you go. So the adhesive kind of stayed on the top there, and some of it stayed on this glass. That's totally fine. It actually peels really easily from this. So as you can see, I can kind of just start peeling it up. Don't stretch it too much, because like I said, we're reusing this. And it won't matter too much because you are going to be pressing everything up against the screen, so don't worry about it not adhering well. It will. Just from my experience, it actually adheres perfectly fine. Just going to make sure this isn't tangling up on me. There we go. So that's the glass lens, which you're more than okay to use. And I'll get this guy right back on the corner. Just like this. Come on. There we go. Just take your time. Try not to stretch this at all. So just kind of just place it downward like that. And this will go up. And I know some screens do come with the adhesive. All the screens that I bought, which was a lot of them, none of them had it. So it's meant for you to recycle this in some way, shape, or form. Another thing is to try not to get dust on this. I know you might. There's a little trick that you can do with the little adhesive that protects the screen. And that's what I typically use to get the dust off right before I put this on. I see a little speck right here, so I'll try to get that out of here so it's not trapped under our screen. There we go. All right, so that still looks really, really clean. I don't see any specks of anything. I do see one right down here, so I'm just gonna get it off. It's not on the actual LCD, it's on the tip. There we go, just move that aside. I don't want it to go towards the center. All right, and then on our little screen here, we'll just peel back the protective layer, and I'll keep it downward to keep the dust off of it as much as I can. Like this. There we go. And I do see a piece of dust, so I'm going to use this to kind of pick it up. There we go. Let's put that right on there. It does not have to be absolutely positively perfect because some of the screen is going to be cut off on the advanced systems. So there we go. That's on there. Perfect. And that is our screen ready to be dropped in. So I'll just peel off the front protector here that was on here. There we go. There we go. And we have our thin front or bottom screen rather. Literally looks new. And like I said, you don't have to do this part. This was optional. You could just remove the digitizer and keep this stock glass. It is just a tiny bit thicker. And this makes the button feel a little bit better. And that's another important part about some of the other macro builds is they have you buy a glass screen or, you know, whatever it might be. You don't have to buy anything with this setup if yours was good. Like I said, you could reuse the stock one that I scratched up, or you can buy these for like $2.99. There's a link where you can buy it with a discount code in the description here. Let me see if I can catch up some soldering electronics in the mid-70s. Nice. Second nature. Yeah, it does become second nature, doesn't it? Reckless, it is not yet, but I will. I have it as a draft. I will be posting it to my printables and my Maker. What's the bamboo version called? I actually never liked that place, but hey, it's extremely popular. So I'll have it up very shortly. I just want to have a couple builds under my belt. So far, I've built about 6 of these. I think this is my 7th one. So I just want to make sure all the kinks are worked out, and we should be able to find out through this stream if they are. And then later, when you come back, I will post links in the description for the STLs, as well as making shorts, and I'm going to make a video how-to on this, and I might even cut this one up into bits, depending on how it goes. Just took my first print off the carbon fiber plate. Not bad, but I think maybe first layer needed smooshing a bit more. Yeah, the carbon fiber plates, if the bottom layer was not perfect, you're going to get extra layer lines, whereas if the bottom layer is perfect, it will be as smooth as the actual carbon, as you can see there on the reflection. So yeah, on those type of build plates, it's really important. I don't really use things, Scott. I don't really use things. Maybe I should at some point, but there's just so many of these platforms. I probably should at some point. All right, so let's do one more thing on the board here is let's get the wires just held down right over here. And I'll make it just a little bit easier when we're doing the case stuff. All right, I think it's time. There's only one thing that we have to do to prep before the case, and that's our A and B buttons. So since we're only using A and B, the way that the shell works is it only needs half of the buttons. So we're going to be cutting this right before, and I'll show you that in just 1 second. Let's move this over here. All right, so we have our board, we have our screen, all this stuff's ready. All right, I think it's time to pick the case, right? My first computer ran off cassette. Nice. My first was a tan IBM. I don't remember what it was. I don't even think it was an Intel. I think it was something else back in the day. And it was MS-DOS. And to launch anything, I had to learn commands. And I remember I played Doom off of like 4 floppy disks, and then later Shawang and Duke Nukem. All right, let me get my refreshing beverage, and we're ready. All right, everybody, let me know what you guys think. We got carbon fiber, like all black carbon fiber, printed in PLA carbon fiber with gold buttons. So that's going to be a really high-end looking setup. We have our Pikachu build, which is just like all the other ones I've done except yellow. So this would be fun playing any Pikachu games or the pinball games. Then we have our Gengar build, which is a purple set with green transparent buttons and a purple lanyard. And we have our black and white with carbon center with white buttons and a silver/white lanyard. All right, y'all, let me know. I'm going to close the, I'm going to close the vote in just a few minutes, or maybe just like in 1 minute. Yeah, Duke Nukem. What about Shwang? Anyone play that? That was even better, I feel like. Duke Nukem was more popular than Shwang. But Shwang had a sword. He would cut stuff. He would say the most hilarious stuff. Duke Nukem used to say stuff too. I feel like they were very similar games. But Shwang was just hilarious. Smells like dead baboon in here. Like, he would just say all kinds of wild stuff. I even played a more modern one years ago now. I obviously didn't hit the same because I was just older. But, yeah. Hey, Darren, how you doing? Larry. Leisure Suit Larry. Interesting. All right, guys, let me know which one you guys voted for. Or rather, why don't you go in the poll and vote, because I'm going to close that down, and we will figure this out. All right. Let's close down the poll, and let's see what you guys voted for. All right, so we got 35% for the carbon and gold buttons. The Gengar build, oh man, I thought we were definitely going to do the Gengar. All right, so the black and white and the Pikachu were the least. 42 people voted. Thank you, everybody, for voting. Yeah, so carbon and gold buttons wins at 35% of the votes. Okay, that's what we're going to be doing. That should be a cool build. All right, I'll move these off to the side. I will be building those as well, obviously, but not in this stream, if that wasn't obvious already. All right, so one thing I do have to do, and this is, by the way, a test of this. This is an older version of this case. It doesn't have any of the critical updates that I made, like some of the things are like just my logo in the center and things like that. As you can see, I think the Gengar one has it. Yeah, like this build has all of the little updates that I did with the speaker and where things are held. This one doesn't, but that's okay. All that stuff is on the inside, so it doesn't matter. However, I've never tried assembling one of these with carbon, and the reason why I'm a bit skeptical is because, like I said, the motherboard is held in with pressure, and as you guys know, carbon fiber filament is very, very brittle. So I have a feeling my connection spots are going to break, but we'll see. The first thing I have to do is I'm going to go back there and do some heat gunning, because carbon fiber filament likes to leave some wisps here and there. Oh, you know what I'll do is I'll come over here and do it here, because I added an extension cord over here now to use some of these plugs when I need to do stuff like this, so should be nice. I like any with two-tone, more aesthetically pleasing and makes the name pop. Yes, I agree as well. But hey, something about the monotone ones looks pretty cool as well. The one that I built for myself the very first time was all carbon, and I still use it, and it's still really cool. The problem that I had with it, it wasn't my design, it was someone else's design. The problem I had was if you ever drop it or bump it into something, the stock hardware just pops right off. Alright, that should be enough. Some of the rest of these things will come off as you use it. Let me do the same with this one. A lot less critical here. Little wisps. It does help clean it up though. Don't warp on me, carbon fiber. TRS-80 Model 3. That was hacked to 60K, originally 4K. It had a digital cassette player to store files. Wow, $1,000 for computer floppy drives for another. Choo! Yeah, that's before my time, but that sounds awesome. That is definitely before my time. All right, we'll put that there so it doesn't touch anything and melt anything. All right, I think I'm gonna stand for the rest of this. So let me get comfortable. Put the table up just a little bit more. All right, let's get our buttons out. Ate too much pizza. Nice, that's a good problem to have. Is there such thing as too much pizza? All right, so the thing we don't need from this button set is the X and the Y buttons. Yeah, they are, and I have a little collection of them. I don't know why, but it'll be fun. I have a little Skittle set right over there. Other thing we don't need is this little reflector. Don't need that for this build. Okay, so what I like to do is I take the bottom case and I flip it up this way and I rest the front of the macro down this way. Actually, I think this might need a little bit more heat to just get some of these little wisps out of there. But I can do this part when it's already assembled. Just a couple little wisps here and there from the carbon fiber. Yeah, it all just comes right off. It's nothing serious. You can just see them, you know. All right, what I like to do is lay it down like this so that the buttons can kind of hang off. And let's get started. Actually, before we even do that, oh, here's going to be the real test of the carbon fiber. Let me zoom in here. So this is the unique part of this case. Let me zoom in. And let's make this just a hair brighter. So you're going to need these little pliers. This is when we go ahead and put in our tiny little M2 nuts. So I made these built-in channels into here, and let me show you how to use them. So there's a channel right on the bottom here. We're gonna just drop that into the channel. As you can see, it kind of slides in. But what you want to do is you want to put your fingers as low on the table as possible because you don't want any of this to break. And you want to just push this down into the spot, and you want to make sure it aligns with the hole. Let me get more light for you. There we go. Hopefully that's enough light. I'm going to block it just a bit. There we go. So I'm going to slide this in. Real careful. I'm going to push it as far as it goes in there. There we go. That one is in. We can rotate this thing and go to the next one. Next one's right over here. Same thing. It has its own little channel. So just hold your finger as low as you can to give it as much support, because the higher you go, the more chances you're going to break that wall. There we go. That one just popped right in. Rotate again. We're going to go right over here. Fit this right into the channel. Make sure it's not crooked or else something will crack. There we go. Nope. All right. Might have to use my finger to slide it in there before so that there's no magnetization happening. There we go, like that. And once again, hold the case. Push this in all the way. Voila. And then this bottom corner right over here is the last one. Push that in. There we go. And that is how you embed everything into there. And that's one of the coolest parts about this case. The other part is this area right here is the extra space needed if you use the top LCD. This is where the ribbon cable will be folded and kind of in here. There's another little trick, is there's these little studs that pop out that kind of hold the motherboard in place. If you're going to be using this, the upper screen and the ribbon cable, you have to just pop this off with your finger. It'll literally just break off, or you can obviously use snips, but you don't want that protruding because it'll protrude into the cable. For this one, we don't need to do anything else because we're using the regular screen there. All right, now we're back to putting this back on top and populating it with buttons. So here we have the A button. It goes into the top. There we go. We can kind of flip it over. Gorgeous. It'll be upside down for you guys. But these are keyed, so there's no worries there. Okay, and here we go with the flashing. So as you can see, even the premium buttons that you can buy have some flashing. That's just from, you know, the manufacturing process. And it can mess with the installation and just how smooth everything is. So that's what the blade is for. You just kind of want to clean it up, just real easy. Get some of that extra plastic out of there. Let's drop this in. Just like that. Nice and keyed. Can't go in wrong. And now we have our A and B buttons in gold. All right, and then this is the part that I was talking about. So because we don't need the other two buttons, I use this space to make a spot for the speaker. This is going to be our right speaker, and this is the original membrane for the buttons. And as you can see, there's a little spot that holds it in place. What we need to do is cut this in half. It doesn't matter in which direction, but you do want to do this with scissors, and you want to go from point to point in the center and just snip it just like that. Doesn't matter which one of these you use, pick one. But that half of the diamond will go into the other part right there, and it will still function perfectly. And as you can see, it kind of holds the buttons down in place, and this little piece holds it from doing anything funky. So nice and easy there. Then let's do our start and select buttons. I'm just checking for flashing because these tend to have the most. And they do kind of like misalign. They'll still work, but they won't look as clean if there is any. So you just want to kind of just real gentle get those off. Put that in there. And then let's get our little membrane. It goes down. Once again, this should be able, you should be able to work this on there so that it's flat, holds the buttons just like that. And this part, admittedly, is somewhat annoying to do. We're going to trim this up just a little bit so that it doesn't rest on the tops of the plastic there. This can get a bit cumbersome, but if you take your time, it'll be fine. That's one of the reasons why I rested on the back, so that it doesn't pop back up. All right, and then these, I've actually learned a trick with these. So some of the aftermarket ones, like this one's actually, well, you can kind of see it. The center lines aren't necessarily perfect on two of them, always. So if I put this, if this is up or down, or this is down or up, as you can see, this little line is going to be off center. But if I rotate it 90 degrees, now it'll be either too high or too low, and this makes it look a little bit better. So for this one in particular, I want to put it in, let's see. Yeah, it's this way. So I'd want to put it in this way so those markings look the most on center as possible. It's just how these aftermarket ones go sometimes. This guy has the hole in the middle. That's the one for the D-pad. I'll put it up this way. There we go. Keep in mind, it's probably going to pop up another 10 times before you put it in there the first time. So that's okay. All right, now we are ready to work with the motherboard. So the first thing you want to do, flip this guy. Let's flip this right over here. We're going to get our screen rested on it and slid in. There's these little wings on this ribbon cable. You kind of just use your skin, push them in, and then you just use your thumb to kind of push down on that. And there we go. That is the front of this. I like to clean this up as much as I can before I put it in there because this case does overlap the screen a bit. but you'll still be able to clean it. All right, and now holding the screen and kind of pinching everything together, I flip it over, and we find our right speaker. If you guys remember, I was repeating orange over and over again. That's what we're going to do. I'm going to do the orange one. Orange is right, and it will just slide on in on an angle just like that. There we go. Pops right into the speaker holder. Now these wires, they can get a little tricky. What you want to do is, as you can see, I'm just going real slow because I've done this many, many times now. So what you want to do is you want to put them right down here, and you want this to go towards, you want them to go down towards this corner. And the reason is because we're going to slide this motherboard in just like that underneath this little claw that's over here. Okay? And then you want to kind of just lower this a little bit. Drop the screen in. The screen should pop right into place. You can kind of help it. There we go. We'll help on the top as well. All right. And then now what I want to do is I want to come over to this side. And we're kind of just going to flex the entire case. Let's see. This is where we're going to test the carbon fiber filament. There we go. And it popped right in. So that clip now holds that. This pin now goes through the motherboard. This pin goes through the motherboard. And now this thing is held in place. Let's see, we can now flip it over and test our buttons. Okay. Yep. Yep. Looking good. And this is our first look at our macro. Gorgeous. All right, let's flip it back. Now, since everything is held in place, we can set this thing down. All right. So now we need those pins. If you guys remember, the two pins and the springs. So there is a little bit of a choice that you can make. These springs that hold the left and right buttons, they are actually optional. Some people do prefer the faster action with the non-springs. And what that means is essentially these triggers just rest on the button. So as soon as you push them, you're flexing the button. If you're putting the spring back on, there's a little bit of a pop to them. So you do have to push them downward just a hair more. I actually prefer the spring, but I have some that are either missing or just broken in some way, shape, or form during assembly, or flew across my screen. Flew across my whole basement here into the abyss. So I do have some of these set up without them, and they feel just fine. So now I'm just going to clean up the buttons. They do have a lot of flashing around the center here usually. And you do want to clean it up, because if you don't, you might lose some of the action of the button. So it's worth taking a couple seconds here and just kind of cleaning up all the little extra doodads that are on here. Don't forget to check the perimeter too. Sometimes they have that as well. Like here's some. We'll just kind of clean that up. All right, so let's throw these buttons on. So here's how we're gonna do it. First, let me make sure I catch up with the chat here. Hey, Randy's here. What's up, man? What's up, man? Here's one of the builds, dude. Almost 11. That's right. For those that are gonna stick around for another hour or so, there's a pinned comment at the top. Feel free to go in and get yourself in there for a chance to win a spool of PLA Plus from 3D Max. If you're in the United States, you have to be present to win. So right here to the outside where these little funky little pins are, that's where we're gonna put this guy in there. And sometimes this is pretty difficult to do. Admittedly, what I do is I take something flat and I kind of just push down just a little bit. There it goes, and it tends to find its spot and go in. And this is the pin that's going to be holding the left and right buttons, and also the pin that's going to align the top panel on there. As you can see right here, you need those for alignment. So we got one in. Let's get the second one. There we go. That one went right in. Just push it down. All right. And as far as these go, what you want to do is you take your button, you take your spring, and you kind of put this into the center, just like that. You drop it a bunch, you cuss, you squeeze too fast, and the spring goes into your finger sometimes under your skin. It's fantastic. And you rest it down on the pin, just like that. There we go. Now I'll show you what to do with that spring in a second. I'll just set this one up while I'm doing it, so they're both on there. We'll just set that right there, and the spring will fall out. Like I said, you'll do this a bunch. It's a fun little game. There we go. Let's see. Also, if you have big fingers like mine, it's another fantastic little game just to get that spring anywhere in that area. There we go. I'll try to help myself. All right, so the way that you set this up is you hold the button down with your finger. I take tweezers. I go to the very tip of this thing, and I bring them in, and I kind of just pop them on. It'll come out a couple times. It'll take you a couple tries. There we go. And we'll push it down, and now we have a button. Same with this one. I'll hold it down. I'll take the very edge. I'll bring it around and down into those pins. It's very difficult to do and annoying, but take your time, and there we go. Here, let me bring it up and show you how that looks. So yeah, we got our little spring in between those two little 3D printed teeth that are nice and fragile, of course. Camera. There we go. And now you can see that when you push, they spring back up. So if you don't keep those things, these are somewhat floppy, but they do just sit right on top, and you can press them really easily. All right, that's that. Now what we'll do is we'll kind of take these wires and fold them in just like this. And you do want to keep them away from this little hole right over here. So as you're doing this, just keep that in mind. What I'll do is, where's my little piece of tape? I'll put another piece of tape on top just to hold that in a loop. All right, and this guy, this was our left speaker, labeled L. This one, sometimes it helps if you just spin this guy, just like this. Move this more into the camera. And we take our case, and you want to go and put it facing downward so that it goes into the grill. And this one, unlike the other one, this one snaps. So this one snaps and holds it in place. The other one kind of just folds in. So when you flip it back, the speaker is facing out, just like that. All right, so what I want to do, this is going to be really tricky for me to kind of show you guys, but I'll try. So there's a couple things you want to do. First, you want to move your volume control into the center and get the volume button in there. That's the one with the hole in the bottom here. We're just going to kind of rest it in place. This is going to be tricky. Admittedly, this process is tricky. Your power button has a bigger gap on one side. That's your power button, and that's over here on the left side. And we just kind of put that in as well. There's a little channel it goes into. All right. The other thing you need is your battery. You want to put the battery right into where it needs to go, and this is gonna play a role as well. You're gonna have to find something to poke in there to kind of tuck it under. So all in one swoop, I want to have the speaker wires. Like I said, this is gonna be tricky for me to show you. The speaker wires have to go in between. You see where the other wires are running? That's where you kind of want to guide them, and they'll fall into place, and they'll go there anyway because I have the speaker kind of facing that area. So I can kind of feel them in there right now. So what I'm going to try to do is don't worry about the power button or the volume button. Worry about getting the two of the prongs that are on the top, the pivot points. And I'm sorry if I blocked the display here. You want to try to get those in, and they're in the corners here. So I'm going to kind of push this down. The battery's in the way, so I'll kind of push the battery in a little bit because it has that little spring mechanism. There it goes. I'll push down. That clicked on. Push down here. That's on. And we'll just work our way around trying to get this thing clicked. There we go. Sometimes it actually helps if you lift this thing up. So this one is in, but this one is not. So let's just take our time. Like I said, I might have to pick this thing up. There it goes. So those are in. So even though the other buttons aren't where they need to be, I'm just going to take this time and drop this in. Drop the 1M2 in there just to kind of get it started. Now, please do not over tighten these. You just want it to gently hold. You can tighten them later. This is still 3D printed, and this is M2 hardware. So you just want to gently have it going. There we go. And now we get to play with the rest. So let's figure out why the alignment is off here. Looks like this button needs to be aligned. There we go. That one popped right into place. So we can put this one in. One thing I forgot, I can tell you right now, is the lanyard. Way easier to do when this is not together, but that's okay. I'll show you the hard way to do it. And then on this side, so as you can see, this button is leaning kind of funky. What I do is I take this guy and I prop it up just like that, and then just slowly, gently try to close it. What helps sometimes is doing it this way. It will kind of fall into place where it needs to go. Let's see if I can make it happen. Let's reach in from this side. There it goes, and that is good to go as well. So let's put this one in, and that should be the last one. So as you can see, it can be tough to put together to some degree. For whatever reason, this little guy is not aligning perfectly, but it's just a matter of wiggling it around and getting it in there. Like I said, I haven't printed one of these in carbon. This was the first one, and it definitely has its challenges, as you can see here. Yeah, something isn't perfectly lining up with my little, with where my screw ended up. Let's see if I can finagle it in there by just moving it around. Because I probably will have to just remove it and check out where it went. And it'll give us a moment to put the lanyard back in. But you know what? Let's do a test. Let's do a test launch. So we're just going to give it some power. We have a little window here. And nice. There we go. We have already a working macro. All right, I'll power it down for now, and let's try to fix this problem. So one of the other things that you should do is, I don't know, you guys obviously can't tell, but this happens when there's like a weird flashing situation on the buttons, these aftermarket buttons. So as you can kind of see, they're not resting flat, they're like pushed down. This one is clicking, this one's not. To fix that, I usually put my finger in here and kind of pull up, and it kind of moves things where they need to sit, and it fixes the situation. You only have to do this one time, and it will stop. Like, as you can see, it's already where it needs to go. It's just that plastic is so cheap. There we go. And now our shoulder buttons are functional. This is all working. Can I click this? Click. Can I click this? Click. Yep. So there you go. Let's just figure out why this side is not aligning. And we will go from there. And it definitely needs a little bit more heat gun action. Maybe even some flame. So to lift this up, like if you needed to change the battery or something, you just kind of give it a little wiggle. And then what I do is I just bring it down like this. And there you go. It tends to work. All right, so let's figure out which one was it. I believe it's this guy. I can see that screw is just not the perfect shape. Okay, so it needs to go inward on that side. This one, oh, it's this guy. It's this guy that's the problem. Yeah, let me try to get this out of the way. Let's see if I can, oh, I kind of broke the plastic, perfect. Yeah, so this is the importance of pushing these guys into the right spot. So when I was pushing that M2 screw, I should have done it just a little bit more on this one, because I can kind of see it's not perfectly aligned. Let me take a piece of hardware out, put it in there, and see if I can wiggle it in there just a little bit more. So usually, if you can get this in there, it'll all work out. There we go. Yeah, just kind of get that in there a couple of times, and it should give you just enough wiggle room to function. Yeah, so if I go inward, it will work. All right, let's see. Let's see if that will be our solution. So once again, you want the wires to go in that little channel. And here we go. Oh, right, lanyard. Right. So lanyards on this side, the reason why I put it there is because on the stock DS even, and on the aftermarket, you know, and on the other versions of these things, the lanyard, you can't put it around yourself and hold it. It just doesn't work. I'm not sure why it's even there. So on mine, I put it in a spot where you could wear it around your wrist and still be able to use the device. I kind of think that's important for, you know, a lanyard, almost like a Wii controller type of situation. So we're just putting it inward, getting it out of the other hole on the bottom, put it through itself. There we go. And then we can tighten it up just like that. All right, let's set this thing up again. Wires in the little spot where they go. Get the top pressed. There we go. Battery pushed in. Voila. This guy, as per usual, needs a little love. Volume button fell out. It's okay. We can put that back in there. Just make sure it's aligned. Did I get it? I did. Let's put it right in the center. All right, since this one is in, screw that in there. And what we'll do is, instead of putting that top one on first, I'm going to see if I can catch this bottom one first. If you guys remember, it needed to be leaned in towards the center a little bit. There we go. We caught it right away. That's a fix. That's just a quirk of 3D printing and small hardware. All right, that's in. That's in. Now keep in mind, some of these things, they're not going to move absolutely perfectly. It is 3D printed. So, you know, you got to keep your expectations where they should be, right? What is that little piece right there? Oh, nope, that's just a part of the speaker. Okay, cool. And let's check our buttons. Our buttons are clickable, but not as much as I like. So let's do this again. Kind of pull up on it. Pull up on it. There we go. Oh, yeah. There we go. Yeah, there's just something about this. I haven't really exactly figured out why. It doesn't happen on all of them. It just happens on some of the buttons. And I have noticed that the transparent buttons that you buy that are aftermarket usually fit a little bit better than the opaque buttons. And I'm not sure why, because the opaque buttons tend to cost more. Like these fancy ones are $13, whereas the other ones are, you know, cents. And even like, you know, $2-3 from stores. So I'm not sure what the deal is there or why the difference, but how about that? Let me unzoom and check out the chat with you guys. Whoops. Actually, I might need to go dimmer for the screen. Console, zoom out. There we go. All right. Oh, and here's what I was talking about with the lanyard. So if you do put it on, you can actually use the device. Whereas with the stock ones and other ones, the lanyard is up top. So if you put your hand through, you can't reach it. You can't get your hand where it needs to go. It's kind of weird in that sense. Yeah, this still has just a little bit of the fuzzy stuff from the carbon. That'll just come right off. All right, let me see what you guys are saying. Cleans the screen, puts fingers all over it. It's just, you have to kind of, but I had to do it. Definitely interesting to see someone else doing this. I just built and tore apart 20 broken DS Lites and making 10 working ones. There you go. Yeah, man. I've been having so much fun. Randy, I don't know if you've seen the extent of how many I've been building lately, but I have quite a few different color combos, and there's a couple more off screen. And then there was a bunch more that were voted on, and this was the one that we decided to build, which I think looks gorgeous. Hey, No Mercy, how you doing? I got to make one of these. Well, soon. I'll be able to provide these files, and everyone can make these. Can be difficult, as you see. Some of the time doing this, I bet it was not easy. Oh yeah, right. Especially because I designed it. But it is simple. If you guys have built these, you guys you'll already know some of the challenges with them. And like I said, this thing does do some unique things. Like, it doesn't have a battery door, so you do have to fiddle with the battery for that. It does have unique hardware mounting solution, so you have to fiddle with that. The motherboard isn't held in with two of the tiniest little screws on the planet, so you have to fiddle with that. So it is what it is. Hold it low, work that plastic. Oh, right, that was when I was messing with it. No, this is carbon fiber PLA. Yeah, it's carbon PLA on a carbon build plate. This is carbon fiber PLA by 3D Max. So what games can this play? So this can play any cartridge that's meant for an Advance, for a Game Boy Advance. You can also, using an R4 card, play any Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, some DS games that don't require touch or the top screen. It's pretty rare, but you can. There's like 2 or 3, to be honest. But it's mostly to make an Advance. So if you had all of your older carts, and I'll show you how all these work technically. Here's an R4 card, which are probably the cheapest way to play. Which one of these has my save on it? I think it's this one. So that's just a regular cart. Or if you're a big baller and want to spend another $70, you can get one of these easy flash cards that holds all of your ROMs. So this can hold every game just like this one can. This is just a much cheaper way, but this has a better, more reliable firmware on it, if that makes sense. So I'll show you all the 3 different ways that you can play on this thing in just 1 second. Pinball's fun. There's definitely some fun pinball games. Do you sell these? I will, Keith, but the files will be free if you guys want to build one. But yeah, I'll be selling a whole bunch of these, hopefully. I have 22 DS Lites that are all broken that I want to turn into these and repurpose them and give them a new life. I'll probably be putting them up onto my store once the files are revealed. Not revealed, but uploaded rather. All right, let's do some testing let's see how this works. I have run into some pretty interesting issues on these. One of the later ones was the screen. One of my screens would go red after a certain period of time. So there's just some interesting quirks. I know that if I play like this, it will be upside down for you guys. But I think I can flip the image just for that. Image, let's see if there's more. Image flip. I think image flip is the other direction, yeah. All right, let me see if I can set up the camera in a different way. I assume there's a port for charging the battery. Yes, so this is the port. It is a proprietary port, but like I said, I have an entire drawer full of chargers. So if you're buying it from me, you're getting a charger. However, that is another thing that you can mod while you have the board out. You can put a USB-C connector on here and just use any USB-Cs. So having that rechargeable battery is another huge benefit over the original Game Boy Advance. So you can spend a bunch of money on here and buy yourself a rechargeable battery with USB-C, but you would originally have to put regular batteries into here. So that's just another thing. You know, backlit screen, ability to play all of your ROMs from multiple ways, pocketable, it's beautiful, different color combinations. It feels a little bit more modern, has a, you know, and has a, what's it called, and has a built-in battery, so. That'd be one hell of a design flaw. Plays great. Shame you can never recharge. Right. No. It's a built-in battery. All right, so let me show you the different ways to play this. I guess I'll have to stand this way. So first, let's set it up. Every time you start one of these with nothing in it, it's going to ask for a couple questions. And obviously we don't have a touchscreen. I'll do the caps lock on. Looks like our buttons are working, so that's good. Let's do 3D. Whoops. Whoops, whoops, whoops. Playing this sideways is going to be pretty interesting. 3D print S O S confirm. All right, and then we have color options, which I guess since we're doing gold, it's probably cool to put yellow on here maybe. There isn't the black. There's kind of like this like grayish color, but I'm guessing it's yellow. You're very rarely going to see this. Another thing I wanted to mention is, as you can see, the surround does kind of cover some of the screen. And so you guys, as soon as I start any advanced games, you'll see why. Oh, come on. What are you doing, camera? Did I turn off focus? Hold on. Nope. Nope, focus should be good. Global. What's going on, camera? What don't you like about this? I guess the screen. All right, I'm gonna turn off focus, which means it's gonna get weird sometimes. All right, anyway, I'm just gonna do yellow for now. This part doesn't matter. You will literally never see this, but I always find it interesting. I'll just click through. And basically you're setting the time, the date, you even put your birthday in here. And there you go, it'll turn off. The other thing you wanna do after you turn it on is make sure that you go into these settings on the bottom, right down here. And you set the screen, right here, this portion right here. You wanna set the screen to be the bottom screen. If you have it on top, whenever you put in your carts, you're not gonna see them. So if you put in your carts and you don't see them, make sure you take everything out, start it up, and make sure this is on the bottom screen, just like that. Set to the bottom, there we go, and now you can just escape. And it will say it's going to shut down. That's fine. All right, so first let's do the genuine cart. Obviously, we have one here. We'll just slide that bad boy in here, and I made a little window so you can see the art. So there you go. And now you can see why there's a cutout on the screen. It's because the advanced games, they don't actually hold, they don't actually go all the way to the edges of the screen. And I know you guys aren't going to hear the audio. Both speakers working? Yep, both speakers working. This ends up acting as our right speaker, and this one ends up acting like our left speaker if there's stereo in some games. And the way that you hold it, it projects from the back one forward. I'll actually turn this down so it doesn't mess with us. But yeah, you can also kind of adjust where the screen sits just a little bit by kind of moving it around with your fingers. Well, yeah, here we go. So we are just playing a Game Boy Advance. You can see I have my save in here. And let's just check to make sure all the buttons are working. Yep. Yep. Cool. Got a little Pokemon fight here. A Zigzagoon. That's wild. Oh yeah, we're definitely going to tackle. Let's tackle this guy. Oh yeah, growl at me. You know what? I don't even want to catch him. Let's just get him out of here. Actually, the fact that I didn't kill him means I should try. I actually don't think I have any Pokeballs. I think it's too early. Yeah, it's too early in the game. Alright, let's just tackle. Get the XP. Great game, fun, super casual. You can play it quickly in a couple of minutes, save it, and then you don't have all the nonsense distractions of your typical phone or any of that kind of thing. So very nice. And like I said, when I sell these, you'll not only have a lanyard, but you'll also be able to choose between blue, green, or red for Pokemon, and they are different, very gently different games. They're generally the same, but they're somewhat different. Yeah, so that's cool. That works. So we'll turn it off, unplug. So that's what it's like with a genuine cart. let me show you the Easy Flash. Easy Flash, like I said, it's pretty expensive, but you can play all of your games, all of them from multiple systems. So when you turn it, there are some quirks though. There are some quirks. Watch him never stop playing. Do a DSL with a broken top screen. Yeah, whoops. Yeah, so the thing with this case is it works with both top and bottom screen. So you can find one with a bottom screen that's broken. As long as the top screen is working, you're good to go. I'll make a separate tutorial on how to do it. It's not tricky, but it's difficult, like as in like you have to use a blade and cut a tiny little piece. So you have to take your time, but you can use the top screen. It's actually better because you don't need to purchase a screen protector. So you can use either one. All right, so here's the way that this comes up. I do have a different firmware on this Easy Flash that's a little bit different, but I have Game Boy games, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color. I think you can also play Neo Arcade, and I believe NES as well. So if you have any of those games, you have them. So for example, if I go into Advance, and it does take some time. This is a downside of the Easy Flash, is it's a little bit slower when you're going through this many games, as opposed to the Easy Flash. But for example, I have 514 advanced games on here. So I made a, and there's a art on there so you can choose. I made a separate favorites folder here for me, just so I can have a couple that I like over here. Some of my favorites, for example, pinball. Let's start that up. So as you can see, it boots just like you would as if you put a cart in there. But you have all of them. Which is awesome. So yeah, Pokemon, let's go, start. Let's choose a red, ball speed normal. We have our tilts. This is also a surprisingly fun little game. Like as you get into it, I forgot that it's not this button, it's the left and right here. This is a surprisingly fun pinball game with all kinds of little challenges in it. It's just themed in Pokemon. But you don't have to be a Pokemon lover to enjoy this this pinball game. It's actually a decent pinball game. Oh yeah, catch 'em mode. Let's see what we get. I think I see a Cyndaquil, I think. Let's see what we got. Oh, Voltorb. All right, let's see if we can get him real quick. Yep. Should have tilted on that one. Oh, here we go. That's one hit. Do another. And got him. If only it was that easy in all the other games. Anyway, so to get back, I just like to turn it off and on, and then you get your other games. So this one is a little bit different because this is meant, these R4 cards are meant for the DS. As you can see, it tries to use the full screen. But that's okay because in the games it's a little bit different. So there's like a folder structure here. When it comes up like this. And actually, if you have a cart in there as well, it'll always come to this menu, which you can pick the micro SD card or the slot 2, which is the bottom slot. So you can keep it this way. You can even put stuff on your favorites on the front here and keep it that way. But if we go in here, we have Game Boy Color, Game Boy, Neo Arcade, Nintendo DS itself, regular Nintendo, so NES, which this can all play. And then we go to Advance, and we go into the emulator, into the folder. So here's all of our games that we have on there. Let's do Metal Slug Advance, another one of my favorite games. So as you can see, it boots up just like you would if you put the card in there. So these are very inexpensive and probably the cheapest way, since this is a cheap setup in the first place. This is just really fancy. I like this much better, to be fair and be honest, but this totally works. As you can see, fully functional and very inexpensive. Yeah, so this is a really hard game. I'm not gonna be able to play it like this because it needs like full attention and effort. But yeah, super fun. Absolutely love this system. The games are offline and there's no nonsense ads. The game that you're playing is already the full game. The controls are simple. The graphics are fun. It's just a really good system. And I know you guys can't hear the audio here, but plenty of volume from the two speakers. Yeah, and the screen looks great. It's a good looking console. It fits in the hand real nice. You can easily pocket this. Where's my phone? It's about the size of an iPhone. A little bit thicker than the whole thing, but actually about the same thickness as the camera portion on the phone. So yeah, it's a nice little device and just a very fun project and a fun thing to do. Awesome. I'll turn this off for now. So yeah, that's the 3 ways, and that's the macro, and that's the build. So how long did it take me? So I started at 9, probably didn't start until like 9:30. So about 2 hours, about a 2-hour build. Let me try to catch up, guys, with what you guys are saying. I see a free roll of filament. Hit the like, that's right. Always hit the likes. Back in the day before handheld devices, I used to keep one of those water toys in the bathroom, push a button. Yes. So I do remember those. So in Russia, there was this one one little game called Nu Pogodi. It's like I know I just said that in Russian, but it was one of those like LCD games where it just had, I think, left and right, and there was a wolf with a basket, and the eggs would come from both sides, either up or down. And you had to move the guy either to the left or right, and he would collect the eggs. That was a really fun one. That was obviously, the bubble ones are before that. But even before I had any handhelds in the motherland, one of my favorite toys was my dad made me this stick that had kind of like a C shape on the bottom. I think it was like an L, to be honest, like just literally a stick. I think it was metal. At least on the bottom, and a small wheel. I don't remember what it was from, some cart. And what I would do, I'd go outside, I'd physically roll the wheel, and you'd run behind it with this push stick, and you would have to hit the very top of it, and you would learn how to keep the wheel going. So you'd be running after this wheel, and you'd learn how to like push it to make it turn, and it was the whole thing. That was one of my favorite toys. I spent hours and hours and hours outside playing with that sucker. Ballpark price with an easy flash cartridge with games. I don't know. I usually put all the games myself. I have my own ROM collection. But I'm thinking about pricing this around, I think $150, to be fair. That's cheaper than an advance with all of this on it. But you would get to customize it. It'll come with a game already installed. I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do it, but that's around the price range of how much one of these macros is going to cost. Around $150. Shipped, also. In the US. You learn something here, give the man a like. Please do, please do. Looks awesome. Thank you. Very nice. You did a great job designing a case. Thank you very much. I know there was so much to it, and you can't really tell. But yeah, I definitely spent a lot of time trying to make this thing, a little bit different than the others and differentiate itself. And then just trying to overcome some things with the design, like holding the motherboard in and being able to use different screens and stuff. 2 hours 30. Okay, cool, nice, thank you. It would have taken that long if you weren't talking to us. Yeah, right. Yeah, I usually put some music on and build these. I've built 2 in one night before, so yeah. Thank you, I appreciate that. Ballpark price with all the games. So I'm not gonna be able to sell the R4 cards or the things because you're not allowed to. I think you're not allowed to sell ROMs or backups of games. So this would have to be something that you get yourself, and I can always put links on where you get this stuff. But there's so many resources online for how to back up your own games or download them from the internet, whatever you choose to do with yours. But these are the options. This one is definitely expensive. Like I said, these flash cards are about $70 or so. Technically, at the end of the day, they do exactly the same as this $2.99 or $4.99 card. I think even on Amazon, they're like $10 or something like that, $15. So these are very, very inexpensive, and they do the same thing. But this one is definitely a little bit more elegant, and the fact that it's a cart. It does have some downsides. It's a little bit slower, and as you can see, carts do come out. They protrude a little bit. So if you don't like that, this is the way to go, and it'll kind of just be a little bit more slick. So that is something to consider. I do think that the best experience for these things is one game, or just buy several games. They're very inexpensive now. You can get them used on secondhand market, Facebook Marketplace, wherever. And the reason for that is there's something about just having this device be one game. It ends up being one of these things where you pop it out on some break, or you go to the bathroom, wherever you have time as a person to play these things. You turn it on and you're in that game, and you're kind of like in it. Whereas when you turn it on with one of these things, especially if you're not set on a game, you're going to spend a bunch of time selecting a game, figuring one out. And like I said, there's just something about you going in and just playing one that's really, really fun. So my suggestion would be to pick up a couple games like this. Obviously, I'll include a Pokemon Red, Blue, or Green. But there's just something to that that I personally really enjoy. I know not everyone's going to care about that. One thing I did want to show is what Game Boy games look on here. Like, for example, one of my favorite Game Boy games is Golf. And if we start that up, you can see that it starts to take up the full screen, but then it goes like this. On the original Advance, you can click the left or the right button, and it will kind of stretch it, and it actually looks hideous. But this keeps it in perspective. And just to kind of show you, it's a hair smaller than the original screen, but it's sharper. Actually, I have Golf as a cart. Let's throw that in on the original. Here we go. But one of the benefits, well, this one has a color screen, but you can see the color. Oh, right, this thing's so loud. So there you go. So you can see it's very comparable, but I mean, you know what I mean? Like, the size difference is incredible. But yeah, super fun, super playable, very fun little game. And just depends on how you want to set it up. And that's the cool part. That's the versatility portion. The one downside, another downside, is this can't play Game Boy cartridges, whereas the original one did. You could put Game Boy cartridges in your Advance and have them come out that far, but it did let you. You could do it. Here, the example would be if I put this Golf game in here. So there you go. As you can see, it's still small, but then you can stretch it and it looks horrible. Like, it looks okay on this menu, but it doesn't, it bastardizes it. It just doesn't do a good job. But yeah, so this isn't ideal. As you can see, it's huge, it's cumbersome, but it can play these carts, whereas this one can play the games through an R4 or an Easy, but it can't play the original carts. So that's just something to keep in mind. It might not be for you if what you're looking to play is the original Game Boy, at least the carts. You can obviously, like I showed you, play them otherwise. So just to show you here, oh yeah, I already showed you how that this works. Yeah, so there you go. That's that. Let me try to catch up. By the way, we're still doing the giveaway. There's about 23 minutes left. I'm probably going to cut it short. So if you guys are going to, if you're interested in potentially winning a spool of PLA Plus by 3D Max, go ahead and jump up there. Get yourself entered. There's only 28 people, and that's barely anybody. So pretty good chances to win. Lots of links to download. Yep, exactly. I can't provide that, obviously. Nintendo won't like that. Hey, Maker, what's up, man? Maker Viking, how you doing? Long time no see, I feel like. I need one built like a tank because my kids will just throw in. Yeah, so because it's 3D printed, I mean, you know, you could 3D print it in ABS or nylon if you can. That would definitely make it a little bit more robust. I'm worried about the flex of those materials. So maybe like a carbon fiber nylon would be really nice. But yeah, oh, let's do this. Let's put this one in here. Let's do, we have Pokemon Blue. This guy can go over here. We have our Pokemon Red version. We have this guy. And Pokemon Green. And then later, we will have Pikachu, Gengar, and our carbon setup. Whew, that's a lot. That's a lot. Yeah, not the usual crowd because they see Game Boy and they don't care, which is fine. I honestly don't mind that. Less competition, that's right. Hey Barn, what's up? Macros are awesome. Nice, thank you. I appreciate that. I've been working super hard on these. I don't know if you're just tuning in or you've been here the whole time, but we just assembled this guy on stream. Our carbon and gold version. Looking good, feeling good. There's still some little bits that I'd like to, like it needs a little bit of flame to get some of the little wisps off, but it came out looking good. Nice little stealthy build. Let me know when you post to sell them. I will. I'll probably post in the Discord, and then like I said, I'll have them on my website at shop.3dprintsos.com. Oh, nice, cool. Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I did post I think 2 of them or a couple of them on one of the Facebook groups, on the like Game Boy Mods Facebook group, and that post was, I'm not gonna say blow it up. It didn't blow up, but there was a ton of interest on there. But it's against their rules to post for sale posts. Yeah, because I know a lot of people in there were interested, but I don't know where else to post them in that type of group where I'm not just going to be instantly kicked out. Looks good. Thank you. They all look really great. Thank you, Zach. Appreciate that. Sorry, I'm just listening. Got Bamboo M1 combo earlier. Nice. Cool. Setting it up, doing my first print. I hit the buy button this time last week. Nice. Awesome. Yeah, it's a great machine. I love it. I did notice some inconsistencies between trying to print these cases on the A1 Mini and the X1C. The X1C obviously knocks it out of the park. There were some issues with cooling on the A1 Mini, and the first time I've ever had any kind of non-perfection from it. So, but that's just a matter of going too fast, you know? Yep. Yeah, I love it too. Can't recommend it enough. I want that black and white carbon fiber. Yeah, this one is going to be cool. This one is definitely a good look. And I did print a bunch of these. And I have a bunch of white buttons to do. I actually think the all white on white is actually going to look cool. I was also thinking about doing a red, white, and blue button situation. But this will also look really good with just blue buttons. Or actually, here, I'll show you what I mean. Since I have enough, if we pop these blue ones open, for example, check this out. Like, that would look gorgeous, don't you think? Here, let's do... For whatever reason, the red ones aren't transparent, which is definitely a bummer. But it is what it is. Here, I'm just going to take out any button. I'm not going to look for the A or B specifically. They'll all fit, though. Here we go. So let's see if I can flip that over. Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, Obviously that B is in the wrong spot, but I think that could look really cool. And I also have, you know, purple and green and black and transparent, so there might be some color combo for the white that'll just look great. I was also thinking about, there is on Handheld Legends, in the link down below, there is a LED situation that you can buy. Just like on my other builds, you can put LEDs on these things. So the cases like this that are transparent, putting LEDs with the clear buttons would actually be pretty damn cool. It takes it out of the budget aspect, but I'm thinking about ordering a couple and doing a couple with some LEDs. But what do you guys think? I think the clear one is actually pretty cool. Here, let me show you what it would look like with transparent buttons. Ice mix. You need to print your buttons. So I have. They don't end up feeling good. Because of the ridges on the tops and buttons on the top and bottom of the buttons, they end up just acting weird. And I didn't end up liking it. But I did try. And I have printable versions of it. Yeah, like I think this has some flashing on it. Yeah, like see, like this button has a huge flash chunk. Let's try to cut that off without cutting into my thumb. There we go. Yeah, like this would look just stunning, I think, with transparent. So yeah, white. I know some of you guys didn't really like the white one, but I think the white one would look gorgeous. And then one with blue, one with green, one with red buttons. That could look cool. So yeah, another thing that maybe you guys can have some advice is, do you guys think I should just take apart a whole bunch of the DS Lites or build them like we just did them? Like build them as, you know, as you go. I don't know. I don't know how many of these streams you care to watch. Probably no more. I'll probably just stick to making a video on these. Have you ever thought about building a positron 3D printer? Yeah, sure. I think it's a cool concept, but I'm too intimidated to try build one. It uses a bunch of proprietary things in its unique way. The positron is a super cool little machine. I just don't know. It's not a like super high performance machine. It's one where you'd want to find a specific solution for, not solution, but a thing to solve. Like if you want to go somewhere with a 3D printer, that's going to be your best bet, that positron. Like I take my V0 if I have a car. Obviously, if I'm flying somewhere, I'm not going to be taking a V0. Although technically it could fit in the suitcase, but I'm not doing that. But yeah, I've thought about the positron. But yeah. It's just not one that I'm jumping out my boots to build, but it would be a really fun and a really unique and special machine to do for sure, and definitely a conversation starter if you're into that kind of thing. Yeah, a couple folks ended up building one. Orange buttons with a black D-pad would look amazing. Yeah, it would. I actually don't have any orange at all, which I probably should get into at some point. And this looks orange, but it's super red. I just realized, why does that look so orange on my camera? What the? Well, that's weird. That's weird because it's super red. Like it couldn't be more red. It looks orangish. This is about as red. It's about as red as you can go. Wow, what the heck? So you guys see this filament giveaway button, like right there, not button, but the sponsor bit right there? That's as red as this, easily, even more red. Like wait, oh, there's like one notch in here somewhere. That's weird. I guess that's as red as I can make it on the screen. Huh, it looks orange. No, it's super red. That's weird. Oh, this one. Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, there we go. That's how it looks. I'm not sure why that camera's freaking out about it. Yeah, that was another plan that I was gonna try to do, is basically have a bunch of drop downs with color choices. I'm not gonna do that for now, because I feel like if someone orders like 10 of them or something, or a bunch of people order, I still have to make videos and stuff. Like, I still have to live and work, you know? So it would just take up all of my time. So I think I'm gonna have to do them on my free time like this and put them up. But we'll see. I don't even know if they'll sell. Like, it sounds like there's a couple people that are interested, but it might not be viable. Candy corn colored one. Yes. Yes. Wonder why you look blue, but none of us would say it. Yeah. All right, y'all. We got about 10 minutes left. I was going to cut it early, but should we just wait the 10 minutes? What do you think? Kalen, I think I think they're going to be about 150 shipped. You know, the systems, the labor, the printing. You know, that's about what a refurbished stock Game Boy Advance would be without modifications. But this has the color screen and everything. It'll come with a game, with a lanyard, and a charger. So if you were to order one, for example, if you got this one, you would choose between red, blue, or green for Pokemon, and you would get a charger, and you know, your game would come in a little protective case like this. So it's a little bit more than just your base thing, but also the files will be available totally for free, and hopefully I'll have an instruction video. If not, this will be a nice way. You know, I kind of went through everything, talked about so many things through the live stream. I know some people have a hard time kind of zooming around, but you know, everyone can fast forward nowadays. Me at Barnes would definitely buy one. He's my brother. Oh, nice. Cool. Thanks for the code to 3D Max. Finally got me some PLA Plus. Print's really nice. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that 5% off is always around. You got to look out sometimes during the holidays, or not sometimes, most of the time during the holidays. They do a few days of 10%. So you can still use my link, but then use the coupon code, and I'll still get credit for sending you there, but you'll get 10%. But that's only during the holidays. So if you're going to order it any other time, 3D Print SOS gives you 5%. Oh, no. Oh, okay. Yeah, the color, yeah, the poop is crazy. I have an entire monstrous bucket of poop down here. It just is what it is, you know? This live would be easy to clip for a video for the build. You spend lots of build time in bursts. Yeah, right. That's true. Because when I'm like building, I'll start to say things that are kind of important technically to the build. But the parts where I'm like looking over here and chatting with you guys, obviously we don't need that. That can be cut out. So it'll still be a somewhat long video, even if I do just use this as the video. But yeah, I don't mind. I think it's a great price point for the amount of customization and what's included. I'd definitely buy one. Nice, thank you for saying that, because I was definitely not sure, and I posted in a bunch of different groups and on a bunch of different Discords and trying to get help from some folks that are into this more than I am, or have been into it for longer than I have. And I think everyone so far that I've talked to said that 150 is probably fair for what you're getting here. Like, this is not a high-end tier thing. It is clearly a very budget DIY thing. Some things aren't absolutely flawless. Like I said, the buttons for the start and select, no matter what, you kind of have to like push down with your finger. They're not protruding all the way out. For whatever reason, there is a difference between different button manufacturers. Like these, for example, just come out just a little bit more and are easier to print. So there's like little tiny little quirks of that nature that are just a part of this build. And you know, I don't know how people will react to that, knowing that's 3D printed, made by me. It's not a company doing it. I don't know. I don't know. So yeah, I appreciate any and all of that kind of feedback. Take non-refundable deposits so people don't change their mind. I'm willing to pay the deposit. Maybe, but I think for now, my plan is to build as many different ones as I can, just like within the near, like next like couple of weeks, like within a week or two max. Just so I can take some photos and show all the different color combos, and then put them up. And then we'll see where they go. If they sell out for whatever reason, which I doubt they will, but if they sell out, then I would, you know, I'll make more, I think. Or figure out a way for people to order them in different ways. But, you know, we'll see. 5-year warranty. Yeah, your warranty is my smile and a handshake. All right, guys. Let's do this giveaway. I know there's 5 minutes. I'm going to fiddle around a little bit, but go ahead and jump in there. There's only 29 people. If you guys are here in the United States and would like for a chance to win a PLA Plus spool, jump into the link that's pinned in the description. I'm going to end the contest now. So while I'm going over there and clicking, be sure to jump in there and do it. I always have trouble figuring out when to end it or how to end it. It's never clear. All right, I'm going to update this. 11:54:60 it should end. There we go. 55 seconds left. There we go. I got a friend into 3D printing a few years back on Ender. He make lots of game mod boxes. I sent the link to him. I'm sure he will jump onto these mods. Oh, nice. That's cool. Yeah, I know a bunch of people that make a bunch of mods for game systems. And I've done it myself a whole bunch of times. But this handhelds have been my favorite, for sure. 7-year security updates. There is a couple things that I would like to do with this system to some point. I know for me, I wanted the speakers, but I think some people would like this if there were 4 buttons so they can play some other DS games. And then to have the top screen functionality, there is a way to add 1 more button. And what it would let you do is it would let you switch the screens so that you can play DS games. So essentially with 2 more wires, with 1 more button, and 1 less speaker, you can technically make one of these play DS games. And obviously that opens a huge door. Way more modern Mario games, although you have a ton of Mario games. You'd be able to play DS Mario games. And I know some people would really enjoy that. And there is a little bit of room inside the case for buttons, for 1 more little button. I believe the one was... Where was it? If the speaker wasn't here, somewhere up here, I believe. Right, if I recall correctly, I think that was it. Oh, yeah, by the lanyard somewhere else. Yeah, so there's a way to add a few buttons where you press them and they would change the screen. But obviously, as you can imagine, that's going to require an entire redesign of my case. So for now, I'm going to stick to the Advance. Like I said, I made it this way because the Advance is my favorite system. So that's how we're going to stick with it. I hope my VPN wasn't on. If it was, it would say it wasn't in the United States, but I am, as you know. Hey, thanks, Kevin, for subbing. Good luck, all. Good luck. All right, cool. Let's see. It ended. I'm going to go next on this song. And, all right, let's go and pick. What was the question, guys? The question was something like... man, I don't remember. All right, I'm going to check the question because it's always difficult to find what the question was for whatever reason. Why do they do this? I guess I can click edit and go to the question. The question was, what is your all-time favorite retro game? Have you 3D printed anything related to it? Let's see if I can find some. Cancel. Let's see if I can find some entries. So we ended up with 30 folks. Sona's response was all black. What do you mean? F-Zero, yes. F-Zero is great. I had it on there in one of my favorites. I don't know if you noticed. Leisure Suit Larry, not printed anything. Excite Bike, nice. You can play Excite Bike. 3D printed Big Sonic, nice. That's cool. Pokemon Red's my favorite retro, and I printed a Poly Bulbasaur and have a little desk figure. Nice, yeah. Pokemon Red, right over here. Fantastic. Blaster Master for the NES, nice. NES Ninja Turtles and Super Nintendo Super Mario World, of course. I printed some NES items, not too much though. Crash Bandicoot. Crash Bandicoot was a huge one for PlayStation for me. I remember my sister had that console. I did not. And she used to let me play it occasionally, and I was horrible at it. PC Duke Nukem and Diablo. Yes, Diablo is the best. Diablo 2. Diablo was okay, but Diablo 2 is the best. Donkey Kong. Defender, I'm not sure I know what that one is. OG Super Mario Bros. Nice. Contra, yes. There's a bunch of great Contra games. Thought you meant the color. Oh, Barn, I guess that's you with the all black. my stupid butt said the black one. Nice. Dragon Warrior Monsters, Jackson. I don't even know what that is either. I gotta check this out. Mike Tyson's Punch Out. Yeah, good one. Tempest, home console Atari. Ooh, that's before my time. I've played Atari, obviously, but I've never played the, like, an actual Atari system. Only emulation. Space Invader and Pac-Man, okay. Newish Zelda, all right. Nice, nice. Process of making miniature arcade-looking case for Pac-Man via 3D print, nice. River City Ransom, another one I don't know. Super Mario Bros. 3, arguably the best. All-time favorite retro game is Street Fighter 2. It is a good one. Also in my favorites. Let's see what else you guys wrote. Wing Commander, good one. Space Invaders, Dragon's Lair. OG Mario using emulator. Yep. On my school Mac. Nice. You got to make do with what you got. Mario, nope. Zelda, yes. All right, nice. Okay, let's do it. Let's pick a winner. Draw winners. One. Of course, it loads for days. Go. All right. Are you in the United States? Yes. Did you answer the question? Yes. All right. We got ourselves a winner. Announce in widget. Announce with avatar. Boom. We got that G. I don't think that's your name. I don't think that G is your first and last name, sir. Ah, that's funny. I said the all black. That's hilarious. No one did say Oregon Trail. Is that me? I don't know. I don't know. Is that G? Is that me? That guy makes. Could be you. Here's a question. Here's one way we could solve that. I see your email. Let's do this. What is the 2 last numbers in your email address? Just so you don't post your address or anything. Just the 2 numbers in the last in your email address. Serge. Oh, come on. Well, the 2 numbers is a giveaway, isn't it? You think? Nah, it's you, man. It's you. I'm just messing with you. It's you. Congrats to that guy, Makes. Listen up. Here's what you need to do. Okay, so you need to go to the 3D Print SOS website, okay, and choose a PLA Plus. What are the 3 middle letters? No, it's him, guys. Go to the 3D Print SOS. Ugh, I'm getting tired. Go to the 3D Max website, okay, and find a PLA Plus, none of the special stuff, the regular PLA Plus in stock. Okay, find one that you like that's in stock, and you have to email me, okay? Email me at fedor@3dprintsos.com. My name is spelled F-E-D-O-R, okay? Fedor@3dprintsos.com. You can get the email in the About section of my YouTube if you can't figure it out. But what you need to email me is you need to email your full name, okay? Not that guy makes. You need the full name, your shipping address, and the choice of filament that's currently in stock, okay? You need to email me that, and I'll forward it to 3D Max, and they'll get to it in about a week or two, sometimes even 3 weeks. It does take a little while, but you'll get it. All right, redraw. All right. All right, easy. Awesome. Congratulations on the win. Send me that info. I'll forward it, and we'll get that going. Just got my roll last Thursday. Nice. Yeah, Wilmar, how long did it take? About 3 weeks, right? Maybe a little longer? Let me know. Zumi, I think you mentioned yours took about 3 weeks. 3 days? That's fast. 3 weeks. Yeah, that's what I figured. Hey, thank you. Yeah, have a good night as well. Oh, like 4 hours. Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, that's probably why. About 3 weeks. All right. Well, okay. Thank you guys and gals for sticking around. Thank you for all the kind words about the... I was holding it over here for the other camera. About the device. I appreciate you guys picking this. This was a really cool color combo. Definitely a slick looking... slick looking build. I do really like this one as well, just because it makes it really, really neat. Not something that you're going to get store-bought. This is something you can only 3D print, which I thought was really neat. Obviously, the classics, if you guys are into Pokemon at all, we got the Pokemon Green, Pokemon Red, and Pokemon Blue. So if we start these up, go to the title screens. They're just blasting me away with the audio right now. We got green, red. Come on. Come on, title screens. There we go. They're going there. My arm's going to break from holding it like this, but I'm already committed, and I'm not undoing it. Come on. Ah. I broke. Here we go. Now this one's going crazy. No. Dang it, I pressed the start button on that one. Alright, well, it's not on the cards. There you go. If you like the originals, we got the theme builds. Very fun. Cool systems. Appreciate all the feedback. Appreciate you guys sticking around. I know it's not a 3D printer or something, but still super fun. Super cool. Thank you. Fun stream. Glad you had fun. Right. Exactly. Pokemon's for croc wearing millennials. No, it's not. Also, I wear Crocs, and I'm a millennial. So, yeah, guilty as charged. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Bruce Goose. Was that your nickname in high school? Yeah, right. All right. All right, everybody. Like I said, thank y'all. Have a great night. Thanks for being here. Appreciate y'all as always. I'm out of here. See you in the next one.